like a modern day rock can. If I ain't the top 5, I gotta be top 10. The lyrical monster, take a look at the content. Yeah, shit ain't never the same. A free man like my government name. See, I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. A nice house and a decent ride. Whenever you want more, you gotta go look for it. Whatever you see, you find. I wanna see all my people rise and try to set all this beef aside. It's enough money for you, it's enough money for me, but they don't wanna get paid. Them niggas wanna compete. I don't wanna compete. I just wanna achieve. I put my life in these lines. I wear my heart on my sleeve. How you sit on your ass and then you call it a dream. Got my foot on the gas, cause I got quotas to read. Gotta give me the raise. I got the daughter to teach. I gotta live on the road. Nobody told them to me. Yeah, they hate to see a black man winning, but I see right through him like a cat scan with it. I remember back when I was snitching backhand with it, running base with it, not like the last damn minute. Yeah, I make the evident change, a free man like my government name. See, I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind. I'm just trying to get a piece of mind.
Johnny May babies.
Hey, good morning. I feel like I'm about to start this show off.
Yeah, boy, you're not doing that.
Not
I was
today.
gonna say, I feel like
Boy,
he,
you're not doing that. You're not about to do that.
oh man.
It's like, go ahead, start it off.
It's good to be
He-
home.
Start it
It's
off.
good to be home now.
Let's go.
That's on you. I'm the interviewee today.
Hey,
I got my little.
I'm not interviewing you, bro.
Uh-oh.
You
Hey,
family,
Jake's
man. We gonna
mom.
sit up here and talk. Good morning, everybody out there.
Jake's mom.
That's Jake's mom is Portia. Why you looking
Oh.
around like?
I thought she spelled his name Jay-Z.
CMP more.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Good morning.
It's
CMPRADIO.net. This is the morning meeting. We are live from the Streambox King Studios. Yes, we're back in the place. Doing what we do best. Queen Nas. Man, we got Young Nas in the building.
Yes, sir.
Ruth Moulton in the building. We're going to sit down and talk to her. She's going to thank everyone that came out and voted November 6th. And, what?
Thank you, Janelle.
Oh,
I
okay.
appreciate that.
Jace, right. Okay, I'm sorry. Still, you looking in the wrong right. You got to find somebody else.
I thought she was saying.
Anyway, let me go ahead and pay these bills, right?
Yes, of course.
If you don't know now, you know, go to StreamboxKings.com, mention CMPRadio.net and get $25 off your future Streambox. Again, go to StreamboxKings.com, cut that cable cord, get rid of that cable note. Hayes Lounge, 291 in Hayes Street, Monday through Friday, happy hour 5 to 7. Tuesday is $2 Tuesday. Wednesday is CMP night, $2 so nice. They had to do it twice. $2 Thursday. Friday is Friday. You know what Friday brings. Trouble.
Wow.
But go ahead down there, the Hayes Lounge and Sugar Shack in the back, man. Check them out. Get that CMP loaded baked potato. And go to KR and holler at her and get that CMP drink. What is it called? Blue Denial? That's what we call in the drink?
I have no idea.
Blue Denial.
Whatever it is, we didn't do it.
We definitely didn't do it. We don't have
That's all we
anything to do
got.
with that. Pressure Inc. for all your branded needs. Logos, backdrops, banners, t-shirts, hats, socks, condoms. Yes, he's doing condoms now.
No.
Logo on the condom.
No,
That's a crazy combination.
That's, hey man, you know, that ain't black business. Pressure Inc. That's Al Layton. King's Beard Care for all your beardal needs. It's dry, it's patchy, you know, your girl says it stinks. Go down there, holler at Steve the Barber Fontaine, get yourself some beard oil, some shampoo, and some rejuvenation. He does a service when you get your hair cut, he gives you the treatment, so, you know, Steve the Barber Fontaine, man, King's Beard Care. Casey Electric, licensed professional technicians for all your electrical needs. Let Kyle Davis and his team of dedicated technicians get your sockets right morning, noon, and night. Right? Abstract Kings, Kenneth Picasso Hunt, Damon I Do Tattoos, Parsons, two kings giving you their abstract views of life. Get yourself an art monster, like back here on the back of the wall. Or get yourself a tattoo. Or do what I did and get yourself a tattoo of an art monster. That's support right there. Right.
These guys.
Lou's custom t-shirts. Hit up Lou. 610 Automotive. Get your windows tinted. I'm still waiting to get mine tinted. Black people. Get your windows tinted. Get your car washed. Hit up Ace, man. He'll get you right. So, Nof's morning announcements.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. As she's texting.
Listen, I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting there. Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Yep.
So, if you guys happen to have missed the weekend's events, the Thanksgiving Day dinner at the Boys and Girls Club was a great success. Over 150 people served. That was amongst children, police officers, city councilmen. Why can I never get Jacob's name?
Al
Not
Jacobs.
Jacob. What's his name?
Will Morgan.
Yes. Why can't I called him Jacob yesterday?
Well, that's not fair.
I know. That is not right.
Don't say that.
So, he was in attendance. A few police officers came over. It was a good event. We had a great time. Shout out to Nadia. Today is actually her birthday. Shout out to her for putting together a great event with some good food on display. So many desserts. Oh my gosh, like it's definitely getting you ready for what? Anywho, so this week's events are today at City Hall. It's Thanksgiving dinner with Jalil Beats and Jacqueline Tucker from Jackie's Boutique today at City Hall from 5 until 8. And then we have Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, at the. Why is my mind like not saying the words right? We have the Black Friday event with the City Grill at the Market Street Ballroom. I was going to say at the meeting house. At the Market Street Ballroom. If you did not get a ticket, sorry you missed it, but it will be an event that is going to be epic. So, guess who'll be there? Me, this girl right here. Is you? No. All right. So then on December the 1st, then we get into the December events. December the 1st. What? I gotta make sure. I don't know. Okay. All right. So then on December the 1st, you got the Sophisticated Melodies Singer Circle. Listen, she's already put on 3 singer circles. 2. This will be her 3rd one. The first 2 were amazing. It's great singers. It was a rapper. They come from all ages.
You said seniors?
Singers.
Singers? I thought you said senior.
Well, I
Go ahead.
you know what? So, just don't miss it. December the 1st from 7 until 9. This is a free event at the MJ Free Theater. And then take it on across the street to the Abstract Art Gallery with my guy, DJ Darrell, and R&B night. Listen, it's a $5 entry fee. You can come in early at $10 and do a paint with a twist. But here's the thing, right? At the R&B night, great music. Great music, great fun. Everything about it is just going to be so much fun. Good food, you got adult beverages, and then you got DJ Darrell with his waiver that you have to sign before you come in. Then we have December the 7th, First Fridays with Parental Advisory and CMPRADIO at City Hall. It's a cabaret style event, $10 entry fee. That's BYOB in case y'all don't know what that is. That's BYOB.
Cabaret.
Yes. Bring your own bottle.
Right.
Bring your own food too.
Please.
So I don't want you to be alcohol induced and hungry. It's
Right.
not gonna work.
Because I can't, I'm coming past each table to get a plate.
I'm so stuck on
You come past each table?
Yeah,
The waiver.
Yeah.
The waiver.
Oh, if you get pregnant, then he's not being held responsible for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
R&B night.
Yeah, that's R&B night. Slow dancing and all that good stuff, you know. That's
So
his
it's a
waiver.
waiver. And then Luke
Okay.
and Marco has the Plan B program going on 2 doors down. We got Plan B's for sale. Buy one, get one free.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you. Good to know.
So just come out and have a good time. Then on December the 9th, you got yoga with the Brave organization, 2300 West 4th Street, somebody's phone is up.
Yeah, what's up with you?
I mean, I didn't even, mine is off. I learned the last time.
2300 West 4th Street, $5 entry fee for that as well. I mean, you can't get it no cheaper than $5 to me, unless it's free. Like Sophisticated Melodies giving out her singer circle. So, go down there, do some yoga with Jayana and the Brave Foundation, and just have a good old time. It's for a good cause. Then you have December the 8th with She Lounge.
You bounced from the 9th back to the 8th?
Did I? I did. I'm sorry. The grand opening at She Lounge. That's because I got too many things going on.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
So the grand opening of She Lounge is on December the 8th. Of course, you can go on her website, find out how to gain a membership, and become a member for $20 a month and have a good time. The first hookah lounge on the app will be opening on December 8th. And then the rebranding of Jacqueline's Boutique is also on December 8th. So I'm just saying the app is lit. It is, and it is. So then you have December the 14th, you have the comedy show held at City Hall. I don't know if you guys saw the Lamar Todd, Emmett Cook, Ty
That lineup
Brown.
is special.
Listen,
Legendary.
wear a diaper, because you will definitely piss yourself. That's all I'm saying. Come prepared, because it's going to be the funniest thing. $15 tickets, you can go get them from Emmett, you can get them from Tom Tom, you can get them from Mr. Lee. I mean, it's a few other people that's selling them. I just know those three. It's just an event. So there y'all, listen. We go to December the 22nd. That is Mr. CMP himself birthday.
That's my birthday.
But that is also CMPRADIO.net Ugly Sweater Party. So the Ugly Sweater Party is a BYOB event, but we will provide food, music. We got a three prize contest. Like we got 3 prizes for the ugliest sweater, first, second, and third. All I'm saying is $10 to get in. We got security.
Right.
We are about to have a ball. I should have wore an ugly sweater that had his face on it. I would have been guaranteed to win.
Yep.
Yes. It will be at the Oasis Ballroom on December the 22nd. That is a Saturday.
Yep.
So guess what? You get off of work on Friday. You can relax. And then you can come and party with us on Saturday from 9 until 1. And guess what? You may win the prize. I don't know.
What's in the prize?
One is a cash prize.
Right.
One is a sponsor's prize.
Right.
And one is a basket.
Oh,
So all I'm saying is come out. For $10, you have the possibility of winning and having a great time. Because grown folks party different.
do
Yes, we do.
they? Yeah,
And then on December the 31st,
Rebel.
New Year's Eve, if you're not doing anything, guess what? We got New Year's Eve on the Ave. Hold on, let me back it up. Because we got Christmas on the Ave too. So they're trying to work out the
You
particular,
got too much going
exactly what day. That's what I'm saying. Exactly what day everything is going on. All I'm saying is if y'all got something going on, let us know so we can let them know so everybody can be in attendance. Because support is a great thing.
on. Send that money
So,
order.
Support me. I support you.
Yeah.
I support you, they support you.
Right.
They support you, I
We
support
support-
you.
we
You
support
see,
we.
we support, yeah.
We support. I support we.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's how it goes. So then the back to the New Year's Eve party. So that'll be held at the MJ Free Theater. It's a 1920s event. I can't wait, y'all. I done got my little hairstyle together.
Those
I
are
even got
Harlem
an
Nights?
outfit. Harlem Nights thing. Yes. I have my little hairstyle that I want all together and everything. I'm ready to change my hair color
Where can I
again.
get a zoot suit from? Online?
Grayson Taylor.
Grayson Taylor? I
Grayson
ain't
Taylor.
got no money for Grayson Taylor.
Grayson Taylor. That's all I got. I mean, it'll definitely, it's gonna slide back down. So, then, okay, let's not forget our prime giveaways. I'm telling you guys to enter into this prime giveaway. You got Grayson Taylor, you got Desar Rashad giving you a free prime for a young lady in the city. Grayson Taylor has done a dope gesture by giving a gentleman a free prom. However, his stipulations was different because the male side was never introduced into the contest. However, a mom called me asking me, and I said, well, let me see what I can do. So I called Grayson Taylor. I'm like, yo, Rita. So what's good? She like, what's up? I'm like, so it's a young man interested in entering the contest. She said, so do you think we should open it up? I'm like, nah. We gotta focus on these females. because they're very expensive. And then next year we can open it up and possibly do a male and a female. But right now, because the guidelines have been set, we're going to leave it as a female. But what can we do for him? She like, well, what's his grades looking like? And then what is his community service doing? And does he work? Is he a good kid? She a single mom? Of course. I got her. Tell her all she got to do is A, B, and C, and then he gets a free prom. Look at that. Y'all see that? I'm telling you, people in the community is doing things for the community. Y'all got to understand, like, y'all be frauding on Chester. Somebody just said yesterday that Chester was hopeless.
I think that was amidst all the gunfire and the shooting.
But see, that has nothing to do with
Listen,
Chester.
I was outside talking to my homie, like, and they started shooting. To see him.
Chester started shooting? It was Chester shooting.
But see,
I'm just asking a question. Was it Chester that was shooting?
The question that you're asking is like it's a no. The answer to that is no. So there's no reason to ask that question.
But so that means that Chester.
Do you like
is
to
not
dig in your
hopeless,
nose and stick it in your mouth? No. So I'm not going to ask you that question.
but
So
that
Chester
means that
itself is not shooting, but the residents
Chester
are.
itself is not hopeless,
So when
right?
something great happens in another city, they say, "Oh, kudos to that city." When something terrible happens, they say, "Oh, that city." You know what I'm saying? You can say the residents all you want, but if we promote it, we hang out with the shooters, we applaud the shooters, we like all the shooters' pictures, we say what's up to the shooter when the shooter in the store, then you absorb that energy and that becomes what Chester is made of. So when somebody says Chester is hopeless, it's based on the activities of the day and the activities of the people that claim they don't want the shooters around, but are the first person to call the shooter up when the boyfriend says something slick. So you can't. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Because you just kind of sort of directed that directly towards women, and you like kind of sort of X'd out the male figure in there that says, "Bro, I got an issue with so and so, so we gotta ride out." Don't keep placing blame on the woman. She's the first because the boyfriend acted out. No.
But is that a part of the blame? Can you accept accountability? Right. So can you accept? So then what you're supposed to say is, bro, don't act like y'all don't shoot for no reason, right? You don't absolve the woman's side of it and say, don't say
don't
accountability.
completely
Let's take
blame the
accountability.
woman.
I'm not completely blaming the woman.
And Chester is not hopeless.
Okay.
I want people to understand that Chester is on the rise. And if you stop focusing on negative things, then you'll see all the positivity that's going on around you.
But it's hard not to hear the gunshots.
Okay, we gonna hear them.
You don't hear the CMP gunshots. You don't hear positivity every day.
But guess
Yesterday,
why?
I heard somebody let off 8 shots.
Okay.
My son was scared to death. My daughter's calling me, "Dad, where you at? Where you at? Where you at?" Like,
okay.
So that's fear.
But
our children live
that's
inside
out
of
our
that.
control because of an individual that doesn't know how to place their anger. Like that is displaced anger. You have an issue with someone and you think that a gun can control it.
It's out of our control.
It's out of our control because it's not us that's doing it. So we can't control it. Now we can strongly suggest
but it's
that
us
you
that
don't
gives
resort
them a place to hang out. It's us that
it's not
likes
us that it does not. It's not us that gives us the place.
All right.
It's their family members that give them the place. They moms that side in the situation. Their dads that's not coming out and saying, "Listen, son, I've been there. Follow my lead, and you too can make it to my age." It's not us that's giving them a place to stay. It's their cousins who think it's cool.
So we outnumbered.
We outnumbered it, so to speak. I don't believe that 100%.
Right.
I believe this. I believe that people love individuals, and they love their individuals, their sons, their nephews, their cousins, took so much that they're not willing to turn them in until it happens to them. Is when they want the person turned in. I said I was so proud of Chester, and I saw somebody comment on that stat and say they weren't. However, they want their loved one's murder to be solved, but then one of their loved ones murdered someone else, and they don't want them to go to jail. So that to me didn't make sense to me, and this is how the streets are. I want my loved ones to be protected by the law, but then when my loved ones break the law, I don't want my loved ones to have repercussions to come with what they did. And that's not fair. So that's where to me, there's the imbalance. That's where we're outnumbered. Because everyone loves the people in their family. Everyone loves the ones that they grew up with. They love, these my friends. I've known them all my life. They've never done anything wrong to me. So they shouldn't be punished because they're defending themselves or they're defending their hood or they should be punished. And that's the issues that we have that's against us.
So the
Because
mindset needs to change.
the mindset has to change. You have to know that if you do something bad to someone, it's a repercussion that comes behind it, no matter what it is. And I'm one of those moms. If my son did something, at one point in time, I would say I wouldn't turn him in, but I watched a mom turn her son in order to save her son. So she turned her son in, and she said, "Because if I don't, I'm going to bury him.
Yeah.
I would rather visit him in the jail cell than to have to visit the cemetery." And I felt her when she said that. She said, "My son did something wrong, and by all means, should he be looked at as in self-defense? Absolutely. It should have been a self-defense case. She didn't. We just was talking about public defenders telling you to take a deal.
Yeah.
He took a deal. He had no money to fight the case. He went to jail. He'll be there until clear after he's 50. He went to jail. He was 19. And she kind of sort of feels bad because she pushed him to go turn himself in, but she saved him in the process. And saving him in doing that, she was like, I still get to visit him, and he's not even angry with me. He's learning something. He's doing things, and he's not free to walk around and be out here and come to family functions and things like that. But I can still hear his voice. I can still go and hug him. He can still be here for me, and he can call just in time. Like, you always get that phone call just in time. But that's the fear.
But no, and I have always been that mother that I would, and I have called the police on my child, like if they were looking for something or something happened. Because like you said, I'd much rather, first of all, if I know that you did something, right is right and wrong is wrong, and for me, it doesn't matter who the person is. And I have called. And there has been incidences in the past. They may have been looking for whomever, and if I know where you are, yes, I'm going to tell them where, or I did tell them where he was, because like you said, I'd much rather have that happen. One, because if I know, for me, but I grew up in the era of do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Right.
So for me, I know, so I have to tell. And like you said, I didn't want him gunned down in the street like a dog if the police were to run up on him. So I have called. And he'd be like, you called? Yes. But growing up, they knew, no. And I didn't care.
We live in an era where you get him before he gets you.
Right. And, it's like,
and that's crazy how
so the mentality
has changed.
Has to change.
My neighbor, she said, I walked away. I watched the boy crash into a fence. And I walked away. I'm like, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I walked straight down the street. My neighbor said, well, I do.
Yeah.
I turned my son in. I'm going to turn him in too. I might have saved him today. And she really called the authorities. But see, we don't do that no more because we mind our business. See, our business is our 60 by 100. And that's it. So our business is what's in our house. That's my business. My sons and my daughters are my business. Your sons and your daughters are your business. That's not my business. And that's how we view things now. And it's a shame because the village mentality is gone. The care for our neighbors like you care for yourself is gone. It's just, it honestly doesn't make sense. But you can't say that a whole city is hopeless because that's saying that you're hopeless.
Well,
you live here in the city.
Again, like I said, we know what afflicts us. We know what our problems are, and now we just need to cure. So to get to a point, you have to admit that you're sick to take the medicine. So if I continue to say, no, there's great things going on. And when she said hopeless, and then you said it's not the city, it's some of the residents. She loved it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just, sometimes out of frustration and just anger, you could say something that just blindly applies to more individuals than a whole city. And I do believe that we're on the rise. I do believe that we're beginning to wake up and people are starting to take on that village mentality of, I'm doing something positive. Bring your child to me and let me help your child do something positive as well. So I just see good things happening in the city. I see a lot of positive energy being thrown around, and I just hate when we have a day like yesterday because it was crazy, like because it wasn't just in one area.
I heard. You know what's so crazy is I didn't hear a gunshot all day yesterday. I got up in the morning. I went to church. After church, I went to the Boys and Girls Club. So maybe I just was in the area where it wasn't as consumed yesterday with gun violence. Because here I am, I was in the middle of the McCaff and the Gardens, never heard a gunshot. Leaves there, somebody called me and say, did you know that they were shooting X, Y, Z? I'm like, nah, you did though? Like, you knew? Did you call anybody? Like, that's the thing. That's the questions that I start to ask now. Like, don't call me talking about, girl, so and so got shot by so and so. You called the wrong number. You was supposed to dial 911,
Right.
not Nifate. I don't care who shot so and so if you're not gonna go tell, because you are no longer a rat. You are now a witness. See, it's a difference. And when people realize that, they'll make more conscious decisions. You want your children to stand outside and play. So you have to be the one to say, I don't want this riffraff in front of my door. So if you're witnessing this every day, you have to be the one to call the authorities. You have to win at some point in time. They either gonna push you out or you're gonna push them out. And I'd rather stay and be comfortable and push them out. I don't think that I should have to move because they decided they wanted to all of a sudden hang on the corner and say, this is my hood.
It's your community.
Yeah, this is where I live at. Let me be here. So when it all boils down to it, it's like this. Nobody wants to tell. Because nobody wants to be seen as the person who tells. But it was always that one old lady on the block that told everything. She ain't care. Honey, I only got to answer to God.
Yeah.
That's what she would say. I ain't scared of
There were a
them.
few of them on my block.
Yes. And they did not play. You had Miss Robbie, Miss Lou, Miss Babe. Honey, let me tell you something. Norris Drive was Norris Drive. And they did not play. Come on, Norris Drive. Yeah, I seen him. He had on that black jacket down there. He turned up by Lula's house. They did not play. And then Lula said, yeah, because he went on up there by Beulah's crib. And honey, you ain't make it out of there. You weren't allowed to run their community back then. Now it's no, I didn't see him, officer. Something happened here. You didn't hear it either. No, my TV was up loud. And that's what they get every time. They're looking for answers when they say they need community involvement and all of that stuff. But then I understand why they don't, because as I stated before, I saw Officer tell a gentleman in the crowd. That lady over there said, you shot that man sitting there on that step. And I'm looking, I said, what did you just do?
Why?
And he pointed at her and turned around, and the boy was like, what? And he pointed at her. He said, that lady right there said, you, sir, shot the man. You changed your shirt. I was like, oh, really? I said, oh, wow. And I told the mayor, I said, how do you expect for anybody to stand up against the violence when the officers go and say things like, that lady right there said you shot him? I said, you can't expect for your community to be involved with things like that when this is the case. So here we are now in a community. Hi, Najante, how are you? In a community that is crying for help to prevent the next shooting. But don't only prevent the next shooting from being in your family, you have to prevent it from being in someone else's family before you ask for somebody to help your family. So, I don't know.
Because we are our brother's keeper. Whether we realize it or not, we all are.
We stopped being brothers a long time ago.
But you know what, like you said, until it comes knocking back on your door, and then you want someone to help you or assist you, then it matters again. And we can't just be involved during that time, you know. And even that saying, we are our brother's keeper. And it can be just a saying, but for me, it hit home more so when I had a brother and he died in the hospital. Come to find out, the hospital, the doctors, he wasn't the first one to not get the proper treatment.
Okay.
So he went in on Wednesday, he was dead, you know, by that Friday, and of course it was wrongful death, things of that nature, but to me, that wasn't the point. I did not want those doctors to do the same thing and treat my brother the same way, I mean anyone else's child, the way that they did mine. And that was over 10 years ago, and that's when I first realized and found out that veterans were considered uninsured. Because I had set it up for him to be transferred to another hospital that could help him. But when the CFO came in the next morning, Chief Financial Officer, it didn't make sense. So they did not transfer him out. He was dead by noon the next day. So we truly are our brother's keeper. And I only have one. He was the oldest, I was the youngest, that was my mother's firstborn, that's it, that's all. He's gone. He was my best friend in the whole wide world.
We have to be our brother's keeper, because if we don't, no one else will. I teach my children that they treat their siblings as if they want to be treated. And then my children are like They like their own little gang. If that is not politically incorrect, but they are their own little team.
Right.
And they don't need outside help to defend themselves. So they defend one another. But it's still like it's them, and then it's their cousins, and then it's their siblings if they have them on their father's side. But it's them. Like I never had an incident where my children were associated with friends. It's always with their cousins. So when they take care of one another, that statement stands. I am my brother's keeper. Right. No matter what. So, but we don't have that anymore because now we have siblings who hang on opposite sides of the streets from one another, and now they're beefing with one another. So that's why I say that has been gone. We were in the hospital. My nephew was shot, and one of his friends was shot too. Well, the friend's brother was hanging with the friends of the ones who shot him, and he didn't tell his mother when he went in the house that his brother was shot because he hung on one side of the street and the brother hung on the other side of the street. So when that happened, when they was at the hospital, like he went home, got in the bed. They share a room together.
Wow.
He got in the bed. When he did that, I'm like, nobody could get in contact with him. I called my cousin to go knock on the door of the mother. The mom is up at 8-something in the morning, and then she asked her son, well, why didn't you tell me that your brother got shot last night? He said, oh, he wanted to hang with the ops and get shot with the ops. Oh. Yeah, he would have been homeless. Like, I would have never allowed, you cannot beef with your brother. Y'all came from the same womb. I don't understand. And to this day, like, what, y'all, you can't come on my side of the room? Because this is my side of the room. You know, don't borrow my brush because you want to hang out with people that I don't get along with and vice versa. No, it didn't make sense to me. But that's the society that we live in today.
That's the society we choose to live in.
Because it doesn't have to be
It doesn't have to be that way. Again, somebody intervening inside of that situation and realizing that the brothers are hanging with two different people takes somebody to be aware that situation is going on. And it's hard. Mom's working 2 jobs. She's constantly working. She's back and forth. Dad's probably not around, locked up, or fighting his own demons. Again, this is why we need that village involvement. So for me, I just say nothing is irreparable. Is that a word? Irreparable. Right. I mean, I'm just looking for the word.
Yeah.
Nothing is completely broken. You know what I mean? And I don't think this community is completely broken.
Irreparable?
Yeah, because y'all say irregardless.
No.
So,
Okay.
right. So we say
Regardless, I understand.
regardless, irregardless. Like, so I just irreparable, right? I want to throw air on everything. So, but
yeah.
I just think we're in that stage right now where everything is so sensitive. It's so sensitive to touch, it's so sensitive to talk about, and it's that way because things are beginning to change. There are more positive people in the community, and they're coming out. So I want that energy to continue, and I want it to grow. But to grow, we have to allow people that see change and understand change to be in those positions of change. So that's really all I want.
Contagious.
Right.
Because even that son that I referred to, as long as he was alive, to me it was like, okay, where there's life, there's hope.
Right.
So he was never a lost cause, never gave up, still gonna do whatever, you know what, like he said, that's my child, whatever the case may be. But where there's life, there's hope. There's always hope.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even say happy birthday to all the people because we got to talking about this hopeless city. Right. Yeah, we can do that real quick.
Hope.
That's what
it's not hopeless. It's not
No,
hopeless.
I don't think it is.
I think we are a very hopeful city.
We a hopeful city and we are a value city.
Yeah.
It's never hopeless.
Yes, never hopeless.
So we're gonna sing happy birthday to all the people out there that having a birthday
And I keep telling y'all about Facebook page and all of that stuff. But so Sway, happy birthday. That's one of your friends.
Alright,
And we got James Pitt, birthday. We got Will Taylor Trigger, happy birthday. We got Brittany Sheree, happy birthday.
Alicia Ray, what's up? Happy birthday.
Yeah, we got Todd Blackwell, Ronnie Streeter,
Happy birthday to everybody out there. Size Black Boy, that's Purple. Purple Queen, happy birthday.
Oh,
Bronny
okay.
Streeter.
What's her name?
Size Black Boy. That's
I saw her yesterday.
Queen. Right, you met her yesterday?
Yeah, you know why I know who you're talking about?
What?
Her hair was purple and she had on purple. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's the owner and operator of Peaky Radio.
Oh, yeah, I saw her yesterday at the dinner. Yeah. And this month, I didn't know, I was unaware that this month is Epilepsy Awareness Month. So, epilepsy is a form of seizures that people have, and it's something that they can't control. And sometimes medicine can control it a little bit more, but it doesn't completely stop them. So, sometimes you have to be aware of your surroundings. People who have epilepsy, they can't control when they have a seizure. They sometimes know when it's coming on, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. I have a cousin who suffers from epilepsy, a stepbrother who suffers from epilepsy, and it's the most frightening thing ever. But you have to stay calm in order to save that person. And guess what, y'all? They can't swallow their tongue, so don't believe that. That's a myth. But
You can choke on it, though. You can choke on it.
you can choke on it. Well, you can bite
Hold
it.
it. Hold it back.
I went to a funeral for a young man that had a grandma seizure and had a heart attack and died.
Oh, wow.
Over 40,000 people per year die from it.
Yeah.
No, die from it.
But they suffer from epilepsy.
From the grandma ones.
Yeah. My stepbrother, his form of epilepsy is very, very, very high. Portia said her eye passed from his form of epilepsy is high, and they wanted to do a study on him where they sever your brain, the two sides of your brain, they sever them, but you have to learn how to function without the two being connected. So they split it down the middle, but then you have to, because the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body, and the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. You have to, I mean, but it's been proven that it works. So a lot of people have gotten it done and know they no longer suffer from epilepsy, but they are retraining their bodies to work, because if you think, okay, the thought of moving your right hand comes from the left side of your brain, but the two aren't connected, so the signal is not there, so you have to figure it out yourself.
That's how you'll go.
Get up, it's your turn.
Right.
You slacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my sister got that, and my sister.
They had the surgery?
No, not
Okay.
the surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, the spoon or they have. My cousin has a mouth guard, so sometimes she's in it. Before she's about to get into it, it's like signs that come, but she don't remember it after she has the seizure. So she has a mouth guard that she can put in. It's like a football mouth guard. So she puts it in, and it compresses her tongue so that she doesn't bite it. That's number one. And it's just a matter of stopping them from hitting their head, because the head trauma comes from banging your head constantly. So it's like shaking baby syndrome on an adult.
Wow.
Yeah, so Epilepsy Awareness Month is real. My son suffered from seizures when I first had him, but that was a signal saying he had a stroke. So they had put him on a medication called phenobarbital, and that is a medication that stops them from having seizures. Well, it suppresses the brain so that your body it drowns you, like it makes you drowsy. So he wasn't as active as he should have been for as long as he's on phenobarbital. So it's real out here. I'm telling you, it's real. So many different things people suffer from.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah,
It's like knowledge
Mhm.
in general.
Right. So we're here today. It's Monday,
Yes.
and if you know our if you
I didn't even realize it's last week.
I ain't having a conversation.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was next week.
So did I. One day last week, I was like, Thanksgiving is coming.
So speaking of Thanksgiving, this is what we're gonna do, right? For all our viewers and everybody that tunes into CMPRADIO.net, we want pictures of your Thanksgiving spread. We're gonna post it on our page, CMPRADIO.net, so we want you to tag us in your Thanksgiving spread. So take a picture, tag CMPRADIO.net in your Thanksgiving spread, and let us see what we're missing.
Invite us over.
And maybe invite Naf over. I don't eat Thanksgiving.
I'm getting a Bobby the day before.
I'm getting a hoagie.
From Capriati's, turkey,
Oh.
stuffing,
Right.
and stuffing on the roll.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah, that's what I said, a hoagie.
I'm
A
catering.
Capriati,
Yeah,
that's
Bobby.
a Bobby, yeah.
I'm catering somebody's Thanksgiving dinner for them as well as my own. And all I know is I'm so excited. I was up cooking this morning for the event at City Hall, and listen, I don't know if. Okay, so yesterday at church we had Thanksgiving at church, right? And we were in the kitchen. So in the kitchen, our kitchen staff is Mr. Tree, Greenie, Aunt Sandra, Miss Rachel, right? Notice their names. Their names are older, so they are like more seasoned women and men in the kitchen, right? So when you go in the kitchen, you're like, "Ooh, it smells like grandma house," right? So here it is. We were talking about not having grandmoms in the kitchen. Really, from across the room. She knew what she was gonna say. You know,
No, she doesn't cook anymore.
I used to, decades.
So I was saying, how do you teach the newer generations how to be the grandmas? Yes, Portia. How do you teach the new generation, wear your CMP gear, how to be grandmoms? Because here's the thing. My grandmother was a grandmother. She wasn't no my mom, no me, no G mom, no glam mom. She was a grandmother, and you called her grandma. Hey, grandma, or you called her mom. And that was because you were brought up in a household and they all called her mom. She got up, she cooked breakfast, she washed your clothes, she cooked you dinner, she did all of these things until you got of age. So you wasn't 5 years old. I'm sorry, my kids was 5 making noodles in the microwave. We didn't have a microwave in my grandmother's house. Period. So here's the thing. It's this grandmother's group in the city, and they mentor young women how to be women in life, not just to be successful women in the business world, but how to be women, and they get them ready for marriage, and they start them off at 13 years old, I believe. It's 11 or 13, and they're showing you, like, listen, baby, when you get in the kitchen, you got to do this, and you got to be this person, you got to be that person, and that doesn't take away your independence. You know, them INDEPENDT, oh, if I spelled that right, yeah, women.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So dumb women, it not to take away from that, but you have to be the person who also knows how to nurture, right? And nurturing should come naturally, but it doesn't. Some people have to learn it over years. So these women said they were going to stop this program, and I said, how do you stop something like that? Like, we don't have women like you anymore in the community. The grandmothers are grandmothers. As my stepmother came in and said, I've been a grandmother since I was 37, turning 38. I said, and look at the pride in you.
Wow.
There it is. But Thanksgiving Day etiquette, I think, is important. You have to understand about Thanksgiving Day etiquette. So we about to get into the Thanksgiving Day etiquette, and read along, and then we'll get into our interviews after we have our fun. If your kids act up, don't pull them to the side. Correct them in front of us so we know who is in charge. That's number one. Number two, don't bring that weird friend nobody likes. It makes the whole dinner awkward.
That's a big one.
Right.
That's a big one.
I'm the weird person nobody likes.
Right. Don't bring
All
down.
the time.
But they don't get used to coming to my house.
If I come with a different date from last year, don't ask what happened. Clearly, it's over.
Yes, sir.
It's over. Like there's nothing left for that
It's nothing
relationship.
left. It's nothing left.
Don't argue with your mate at the table. Laugh it off and go ham in the car.
Oh,
In the
no.
car, take it to the car. Laugh it off.
Oh, okay, if it's your house,
You're right,
you're
baby.
the guest.
Right,
You're
you're
the
the guest. Right, take
Okay,
it outside.
yes.
I
Okay.
think
Right,
that if it's your house,
Well,
you shouldn't
yeah.
have at the table.
Yeah, no.
Don't
Yeah.
point at dishes and ask, who made
Oh,
this?
come on.
Who made that?
So listen, this is the thing. I don't think that if Thanksgiving dinner is at your house, no one else should cook but you.
Thank you. That's what I did.
It was always like that in my grandmother's house. It was always like that in my aunt's house. It was always like that in the older women's
You want to know
houses.
why? Because throughout the week, everybody in the family came to the house to help with dinner. Like
No,
grandma
no,
didn't,
no,
my
no.
grandma didn't carry. Listen, from what I saw,
Who cooked at your grandma's house?
My grandmother.
Okay.
But her daughters came and they helped with the stuff and they helped cut the potatoes. You might not be cooking it, but you help with the preparation of the meal.
No,
No, you made us cut.
No, you
Right,
shredded
that's what I'm
shredded
talking
the
about.
cheese. She shredded the cheese.
Yeah,
That was it.
Is that
I made
helping?
everything
So you're
that
saying,
day.
so you're saying the shredding of the cheese did not help you?
Yeah,
in
it did
making-
help.
It
Mine
does
did help.
help, but
That
yeah,
did
but
help.
did you scrape your knuckles up?
Yep.
Cause I done scraped my knuckles up. They still got little bruises on them. I'm grown now. Who made the potato salad? But I'm one of them people. If dinner is held at my house, everything is cooked and prepared at my house. Nobody's
So
coming in
it's
with a
hot
dish.
at the same
Bring
time.
a soda.
I don't want no
It's
yellow
not
potato
late.
salad.
No yellow potato salad.
No, I don't want yellow potato salad.
Is that the mustard?
I don't know what it is, but I
It's
don't
the
want.
mustard. It's the
I don't want
mustard.
yellow potato salad.
Okay, just a
My
tad
potato
bit
salad
mustard.
is supposed to be
Okay.
white, and the only other thing in it is supposed to be
Potato
celery.
salad.
That's
Celery?
it, celery. I don't, and something green, no relish, doesn't have to be relish in the.
Okay.
See, my grandma
Okay.
old school, it was real simple. It was potatoes, mayonnaise, and celery, salt and pepper, you know what I
Do
mean?
you put relish in it?
I don't eat potato salad.
Okay, but do you make it?
You got with relish. yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Relish.
But no, I had everything from soup to nuts. I used to have 3 meats.
Yeah.
It was something for everyone. There was hors d'oeuvres. I did it for years.
And I think
then
I
was
think
like,
if
no,
it's
no
hosted
more.
at your house, you should have your own. You should be the only one that's cooking.
Not
Now
the only one that's
everybody,
cooking.
now like in my case of coronation showed up.
Right.
My case of sweet potato
Right.
showed up. Like everybody puts
Pitches
into the
in.
meal,
Right,
but
but you cooking.
I'm cooking
You
it.
cooking and preparing.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
believe the only thing that you're supposed to bring is at least dessert.
Right.
No, I
Something
make
to
all
drink.
of
No,
this.
Pies.
I
Right.
did everything. I
No, something
bought
to drink.
everything and I made
that's
everything.
Something to drink, because I make iced tea and lemonade, but you bring sodas because you bring waters because people might want them. That's it.
Can we finish this?
Okay.
That's a lot.
The etiquette.
Don't bring people you didn't ask to invite. So don't just be popping up with people like you didn't ask, can I bring such and such?
See, that wasn't like that in my grandma's.
Don't-
Me either.
Everybody is invited.
Don't make to-go plates for your man that didn't
Oh,
want
no,
hold on. Let me
Hey.
finish. Don't make to-go plates for your man that didn't want to come meet us. If he can't come say hello, he don't deserve to eat family food.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
Ding, I agree.
Okay.
Don't you take no plates out my house.
Don't sit
You know
at-
who do that?
What?
My cousin do that.
Right.
She be like, I gotta make, girl, he ain't here.
In here.
He ain't here. He
Right.
ain't getting no
He had-
plate.
what if he had to work? It's different.
And he wasn't coming anyway.
My
So no, he's not eating.
My
So
auntie
what's the-
watching, she bring Tupperware.
She would bring bowls. My sister would bring Tupperware bowls.
She watching too. I don't know. She bring bowls.
Right.
She did.
Listen.
She brought bowls.
Don't sit at the spades table if you don't know how to win.
Oh, don't sit at the plate stage table,
I don't even
especially
know,
if you're
I
a
don't even
sore
know how to
loser.
play. I don't even know how to play.
Well, we
I'm
gotta
not
finish.
Are you
Me either. I don't know how
Oh,
to
man.
play.
We done
I
had
don't know how
tables
to
flipped
play.
Right.
because they done lost.
So.
Preachers, we don't want to hear about your next revival or your upcoming sermon series.
Don't do that. You
We
know my
want to
dad
watch the
pastor.
football game and ask grandma where she hiding the rest of the banana pudding.
Don't do that in my pastor. In my
Well, you
dad's
know,
pastor.
next week I'm gonna be speaking at Mount Calvary Baptist on the side of the road,
Yes.
and no,
Yes.
we don't want to hear none of that.
My
right?
dad was gonna walk out. He'd be like, "I see y'all at church on Sunday. Don't forget the word is what brought this here." Wait, what? What happened?
Don't eat nothing if you didn't bring, bake, or buy anything. No
No.
ice.
But if you
No
go to the
juice.
house,
No, don't come in there just whether to eat if you didn't bring something. Don't come empty-handed is the thing. Like bring some ice. I don't care if you bring your favorite soda
And not-
or a
yeah.
bottle of alcohol. Something.
Right.
Bring something. Don't come
You-
empty-handed.
Okay.
Everybody comes empty-handed to my house.
Well, I just wanted people to come and enjoy
Mhm.
themselves. The best
Now,
girlfriend
after
that my son
everybody-
had, she used to bring me flowers. I like that.
Oh, the best girlfriend at my son had.
I mean, because when she came to the house, she brought the hostess flowers.
Number 11.
I liked her. I was like, man, what happened
If
to
you
her?
know you can't cook,
Oh, Lord.
don't bring it. We won't be offended.
See, that's
I
why
promise.
don't bring it, period.
Right.
Don't bring nothing. Come, bring you and your bad kids, and make sure you tell them to sit down, because I'm not gonna keep on telling your kids to sit down.
And,
Sit down.
and number 12,
Sit down.
personal hygiene.
Sit down.
Oh my God.
Please
That's
be
a big one.
attentive to your personal hygiene. If we can smell you, I'm sure you can smell yourself. And if you need assistance, ask Big Mama for help. She always got a remedy for such problems.
She do. She do. My
Thanksgiving etiquette.
listen. Thanksgiving Day at my grandma's house went like this.
Shout out
My
to Portia
grandmother
P for that.
started cooking on Wednesday. Now she went to the market Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That's when she went to the market. And one of my dad or my uncles will come and take her to the market. Now she's a very impatient woman. So when she calls and says she's ready, you only got 10 minutes to get there. And she gets her coat on, it's how long it take her, 10 minutes. She gets her coat on, she gets her purse, she puts a scarf on. She got to wrap it up, then she puts her pocketbook on her arm. You know, that grip, so that nobody can take it from her. The pocketbook on the arm, and then she walks outside. You should be outside by now. If you're not outside by now, she give you about 2 more minutes, and then she go back in. Once she unbuttons the one button on the jacket, she ain't come back out. So you gotta start again tomorrow. Don't have me waiting. That was my grandmother. So then she started baking first. So you would smell the sweet potatoes boiling, not yams, but sweet potatoes. It's a difference. You would smell them boiling.
What's the
where she
difference?
put one is stringy and one is not, and then one has a bitter aftertaste and one doesn't.
So the yam has a bitter
A
aftertaste?
bitter aftertaste,
And
and
the
the sweet potatoes
doesn't?
don't.
I always thought it was the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. So
Sweet potato, yams.
no, it's not the same thing. So she would boil the sweet potatoes early in the morning, and she would let them cook down
I like
until they're softest point where you can just take the skin and just pull it off.
kind of yams.
So anywho, she would then make sweet potato pies. She would make sweet potato pies, a lemon meringue pie, an apple pie, and then she make mini pies so that you didn't have to steal a whole pie. Got your own little mini pie. Then she would bake cakes. And she would make a black walnut cake, a coconut cake, a chocolate cake, a strawberry cake, a yellow cake, a lemon cake. And I mean, it was a buffet. All this new stuff they got going on, no, she was not into that. And then she would clean her greens. They would be soaking while all this is
You're
going
making us
on.
hungry, right?
Good.
So this is not fair.
It is fair.
Because I don't eat Thanksgiving dinner.
She would soak her greens.
No.
He wants to play beforehand.
Yeah.
So
I eat it on Friday.
she would soak her greens. She would cut up her cabbage. She would clean her string beans. And all of these things were going on Wednesday morning. We didn't even get to the noon hours because she started at 5 a.m. See, y'all start y'all Thanksgiving dinner. These young girls, not y'all, I apologize. These young women start their Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday morning. Then they wondering why the turkey not done or it's dry because you done overcooked it. My grandmother cooked her turkey from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. That it stayed in the oven all night long. Then she put her roast beef in. Her chicken was already pre-seasoned
It's
in
so
the
moist.
refrigerator. Her salads was done. Listen, absolutely, Portia, come on over.
I miss my grandma.
I made a lemon meringue pie last night. I made a yellow cake last night. It's just for today.
Yeah, I'm about to say you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
My greens is on, my string beans is on, macaroni and cheese is in the oven,
Nobody offered us any.
sweet potatoes is in the oven. This is for City Hall later on at 5 p.m. if y'all would like to come on over
I'll be working.
from 5 to 8.
I'll be working.
But-
when I work, I'm about to bring
You have to work tonight,
Oh,
Sad. So anyway, this is the morning meeting, and Queen Alpha's in the building,
Yes.
talking about Thanksgiving and her preparation. She got us hungry.
I'm gonna have
Reminiscent.
a gravy teaching class. Cause I want people to stop going to the store and buying that Heinz gravy and calling it gravy. It's not. It's water.
It's juice.
It's water.
It's beef juice.
Yes.
Chicken
Broth. It's not broth. It's broth.
juice. Broth.
Yeah, give me some. You know, my grandmother would be like, "Give me some stock, baby." What is stock, grandma? Grandma, what's stock? Look in the cabinet. It's in the cabinet.
And actually, that's why a lot of people be sick on Thanksgiving, because they eating that undone turkey, undercooked turkey.
Those are people whose mothers or grandmothers didn't cook in front of them. Get out the kitchen. I tell babies 5 and under to get out the kitchen, but my 11-year-old, I be like, "Come here, come over here." Come over
Keyword,
here.
Portia, your sandwich.
I split my sandwich with you.
You didn't bring P a sandwich. You brought yourself a sandwich and then said, "Oh, you want half?" And then looked at me as I ate it. Like, oh, you were supposed to say that. Anyway,
Thanksgiving, this is my favorite holiday.
I bet it is.
Christmas is mine.
For real?
Yeah, I used to.
Why not Thanksgiving?
I did Thanksgiving also, but I no longer cook anymore.
Yeah.
But I
We gonna
like
have
to
get you back to
entertain.
that. We gonna have to
No,
get you back to that.
no, like 3 different weeks. No, I had fun.
I
I
had-
lasted.
I have turkey ham, roast beef, fried chicken, turkey, a ham, because my mother wants one. I'm sorry, my mother eats ham. I
You
have,
cook your turkey upside down.
no. I cook it the right side up because I like the the softness of.
I've never heard of upside down turkey.
Yeah.
Ronald Rogers cooks his upside down.
Because then all of the juices from the dark meat, it drips down, and then the white meat that's on the
Is
bottom.
moistened.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I love moist turkey.
Yes, and it's very good. It's very
Moist
good.
turkey is
Me
the
too,
best.
it's not because I love food. Yeah, I love family a little bit more than I love food. It might not look that way because I'm thick, but Miss Ashley, no, I love to cook. Like, I love the smell of Thanksgiving. I love the cinnamon smell and the nutmeg smell in the house. I love holiday on
We not on the app.
Okay.
The app
Wednesday
is
at
not-
7.
She's not allowed to participate in that meeting.
He said your shirts are ready for Wednesday.
Okay.
He said that.
That's not the shirts to sell, it's the shirts to wear.
Oh, shoot.
I know Christmas,
Um,
the music.
What worked, Janelle? Yeah, it really works. Christmas. She said the upside down turkey.
Oh wait, yes, it does.
But how do you cook an upside down turkey? Wouldn't it be
You just,
lopsided?
no, you just
No,
put
it's
it in there upside down.
And then
You season
it's
it, I
secure.
stuff it. Yeah.
Now you get what I'm
Sometimes
saying?
Apple
I
inside,
never seen
orange,
that.
a leek.
So
or
is it
something
really
in
upside
flavor.
down if you can put it?
You can
So what side is the side it shouldn't be on?
Well, it's
Ah, see?
What, have you ever seen a turkey run around with his legs like this?
Right, I'm just saying
No.
it's dead now, so you can do it any way you want to. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. If
But
you-
it's moist and it's good. And a little Italian salad dressing. It's nice.
So anybody frying a turkey, cooking an
I
upside
got
down
fried
turkey,
turkey coming.
anybody with any
Not a wet
moist turkey,
Not a wet one.
hit me up. I like moist turkey.
Yeah, but you don't want it. You don't want to. You don't want your turkey to be too wet.
Mm.
It gotta be
Yeah,
just
we don't
right.
like sloppy
Well, for the
with
deep
turkey.
fryer,
No, it has to
To
be
fry
completely
it.
dry for the deep fryer.
yes, unless you go poof.
Yes, you don't want it to
Moist
go in
turkey
your
and
face.
yams.
Poof.
Yes. Need a few things done if you're not.
Oh, they're hiring.
So.
Yeah, I'll be here, bro.
Oh, the word. Oh, yeah. Sorry, we're sorry.
Oh, he ain't talking about me. He
No,
talking
we're
about
sorry. We're sorry, Janelle. So we like the turkey wet. You know she don't like the wet.
Oh, my fault. I like moist turkey. I'm sorry. You don't like the word moist.
Yeah.
What's wrong with moist?
But you don't want. I don't want no dry. Oh my goodness.
The white meat.
That and it gets stuck in.
Oh.
And you don't want to be rude, right? So listen. Here's the thing, right? Take a plastic bag with you. If you go into that family member house that everybody goes to their house, but you know all the stuff is not good. Take a plastic bag with you so that you can put your napkins in it. You don't have to keep getting up. And don't be rude and cover the plate with the napkin, y'all. Like, that is so rude. Covering the plate with the napkin and leaving it on the table and that's a full plate sitting there.
Well, you need to know it's nasty.
See, I'm the type. I just won't go then. If that's the case,
How do
I'm
you tell
not
somebody
gonna
their food
go.
is nasty?
Don't go.
No, but your family, like, she can't
What?
cook. Well, I'm
Let
gonna
me
take
tell
the
you.
plate. I don't want to waste the plate, so I'm gonna let you throw it in the trash.
Wow.
That way you know.
I
Some
call,
things just need to be known.
Yeah.
the dark meat is the best part. Miss Ashley, what?
She doesn't like the dark
I
meat.
She
don't
said,
know the
I love the
difference.
white
I
meat.
don't
That's
know
the
the
best part. You don't know
See,
the difference.
I don't know.
The dark meat is the meat,
It's
obviously
it's
on the
black part.
bottom of the turkey. Right now that you flipping it upside down, now it's on the top of the turkey.
I'm just thankful to eat.
So that's all the stuff at the bottom. You know, when the turkey is done, all that stuff at the bottom with the gizzards and all that stuff.
I don't
Throw the
know.
whole plate away.
No,
the whole plate
Just
away.
don't go.
I'm not gonna not go.
No.
Because it might be a punch or a
And don't
cake that
eat.
you might make that might be, you might know. I
I
think
can eat a cake.
everyone has that one thing that they can make.
Yeah,
Some people,
No, not everybody.
Talking about, hold on, chill, because she
Some-
might
some
fry
people
hot
that-
dogs very well.
It's some people that
Okay.
just
She might
can't
make
cook.
good grilled cheese sandwiches.
Okay.
She might
Okay.
order
You know what
out
I'm saying?
very
Okay.
well.
Just
And-
specializing.
She
you know?
order
Okay,
out.
okay.
She got every
Right.
fast food store on speed
So
dial.
she just need
She orders out. Hey,
grilled
so I-
turkey
I
and
ordered
grilled cheese
the-
sandwiches.
I ordered the roasted chicken from ShopRite. See,
All right.
she orders out.
Very well.
So I'm not going to her house for any holiday
I'm
that
going.
requires me to eat.
I'm going.
Okay.
I'm not
Exactly.
going.
Okay.
If I
She
do
doesn't
go,
cook.
I'm not eating because I cook.
Right.
See, you can't cook for me and can't cook because I cook.
Yeah, 'cause
I know
I'm
how
tired
to
of
cook.
passing turkey wings
I
and
know
chicken
how
wings
to see. What you say?
between y'all two.
What?
No, it's just people passing food between me, like turkey wings go out, chicken
Chicken
wings come in.
yes.
Like, all right, listen, mom, try your own.
You interrupted me
You-
eating my food. Like,
Nah.
You worrying about the wrong stuff. Just do what we asked of you. We are perfectly fine with it.
Okay.
Thank you. So it works for us. I put turkey gravy on it. But if it's not homemade turkey gravy, let me tell y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all, right?
No, that's a big
This is how
difference.
you make gravy.
No,
right?
we're not doing
This is how. This is what you have to do. You
we
take a
doing?
frying pan, a nice little saucepan, and you allow it to heat. You put 2 cups of cooking oil in the saucepan, right? And allow it to heat. Then you take some flour on a spoon, pour it inside on the pot with the grease, and stir it up. There it is.
I never heard of flour.
Now, what?
I never heard of flour for gravy.
Yeah, flour. You
Lord
need
Jesus.
consistency.
How do you make it thick?
Consistency, son.
How do you?
Right.
It's thicker.
See, you're learning. You're learning.
How do you?
Right.
How do you make your gravy thick?
Right. You don't. Some people like it loose. They like
No.
loose gravy.
So, Teacher's on the show on Wednesday.
Right.
Well, I only got an hour on Wednesday. So, unless it's going to be from my kitchen, I'm going to go home and make some gravy in a minute. Hey, Miss Bush. So, my grandma thickens the juice with the turkey. Yes. So, now you take the drippings. It's not juice. It's called drippings, right? You take the drippings from whatever meat it is that you're using, and you apply it to the grease and the flour. So, the grease was so that the flour wouldn't stick to the pan, right? And then the drippings is your flavor and all of that stuff. Now you add extra seasoning and stuff, so I can't tell you what I put in my gravy. However, to make it thicker, you add water and flour with salt and pepper to it. You stir it up in the mixing cup. Now don't come out here with that blue cup you've been drinking out of all summer. No, you get the mixing cup with some water and some flour, and it go clink, 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 clink while you're mixing it. And that way you don't have lumps in your gravy. Yeah. You put the water in there, then you put the flour in there, and tink, 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 tink.
This has
Yes.
been Gravy Corner with Nifate.
Your address is?
Right.
This is gonna be my kick it. Oh God.
What?
Yes, Thanksgiving is Thursday. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I got so many cases of sweet potatoes on the floor. Whew.
Whatever we got. Whatever we
They hurt
got.
your hands
You
peeling.
getting,
I still have calluses from that.
you getting Thanksgiving together.
Yes.
Everybody have a say if you're traveling for Thanksgiving. They
Truly.
say 54 million people are traveling this Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Right,
be careful.
Janelle.
Be careful out there if you're
Most
flying, if you're
travel
driving. It's the most traveled
Yes.
holiday.
It is, and
You
it's the
know.
first holiday home for college students. So
Right.
watch out for the tracks.
I'm
the-
home,
the-
I'm home, I'm home.
Watch out for the police traps. The what are they called? Checkpoints.
Yes.
Because this is when they're out the most, because this is the first one. Call your grandmother's granddaughter.
Your grandmother's granddaughter. Is that
Peter
your cousin?
Robinson.
Call your grandmother's granddaughter. I don't know. I don't know who you're saying that to. You cook just like your grandmother. I do cook like my grandma.
You are your
I
grandma.
love my grandmother. I miss my grandmother.
I miss mine too.
I miss my grandma. My
Make
grandma.
a hot breakfast
Mm.
every morning when you stayed over there.
Right.
On Saturday mornings, it was like this. She got up at 5 every morning, and I remember when I had my first child, she was like, "You got to get that baby up and get her dressed."
Right.
I'm thinking she ain't going nowhere at 5. She don't work nowhere, right? So my grandmother would say, when you got up at 5, it prepares you for the day.
Right.
So one day she stole a kid, right? She got her up, she got her all dressed up and stuff, and she put her in her stroller, she put her outside. I thought somebody kidnapped this baby.
She put her outside.
Yeah, in her
Why you
stroller.
was
Fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Did she sit outside with the baby?
No, ain't nobody gonna steal her either. She said black people don't want the kids, so they ain't stealing them. We don't live in the white
That's
neighborhood.
different,
That's what
different.
she said.
That's different.
Well, at least she was ready and she was prepared for the day.
Yes.
Poor baby.
Yes.
So we're
Yeah.
here. Now,
Yeah.
how you feeling?
I feel great. I
So-
still have 2 kids.
So
That is decent,
you weren't here for the last
I
interview we
was
did
not
with
here.
Miss Ruth Moten.
I was
And,
not. I was at a funeral.
I was looking forward to seeing you.
And that
I
was,
know, I'm sorry.
we were getting everybody ready for going out and voting, and we were introducing the
Election.
candidates. And Ruth Moten, Miss Ruth Moten was the first one to come through.
Right.
She was running for the state representative seat
Right.
for the 159th. That turned into a crazy debate afterwards, even after the lives were up and we were going back and forth. And I think we had a strong position, we still do, have a strong position that we want the seat to remain in the city, and that was a back and forth that we played, but not knowing that you were from the city.
Well,
Right.
I don't believe that.
Right.
And see, even with that, the whole seat thing, I think, you know what, if nothing else, education
Right.
is
Mhm.
something that is definitely needed.
Needed,
As far
absolutely.
as a voice and things of that nature.
Rita.
But,
Hey, Rita.
yes.
See, here's the thing, right? My concern with the 159th district seat is because the Kirkland's office is here in the city.
Right.
And I know if they lose that seat, the seat doesn't remain here. So the office still here, but
Mhm.
the 159th district seat is no longer here. Because that person who wins that seat has to take office somewhere else. Or
So
preferably
it's the
in their-
actual building you're talking about?
No,
Who
not
says
the-
that you're
not
talking
the
about that
building.
place downtown?
Yeah, so that's
Why?
that's his
Good morning,
office
Mama
space.
Lisa.
But why?
Why?
Why does it have to move from there? Why can't there be one there?
I don't think, okay, so if you would have one, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that they would allow you to utilize the office.
Fine, then I would get another one. But
Yeah,
the
but
thing
it would be in
is,
the city.
but there should be more than one, and then scattered throughout, because, like I said, there's over 40,000 households.
Right.
Something whereas everyone, all of your constituents are able to get there,
Mhm.
be it bus, walk, whatever, in the neighborhood or community. Fine, I don't know who owns that particular building,
Mhm.
but if that's something that could not, be obtained, okay, there's a lot of other ones downtown.
Your favorite attorney is in the building.
Hi.
Already does.
I don't
But
think-
yeah.
You just be
And-
walking up in this joint.
I'm sorry.
You just
Yeah.
walk up in on the radio station.
Do we have
I don't believe you.
Do we have keys?
I don't know. I don't know what
I'm
he's doing.
sorry.
And that's the thing. And
Introduce
from-
yourself, son.
Attorney
Yeah, I
Dr.
just want
Williams is in
change.
the building.
So Miss Gloria, Miss
Attorney
Gloria,
Dr.
we all, soon to be, we all want
Okay.
change. And we understand that there are other areas outside of Chester,
Mhm.
but here's the thing, we here in Chester, we're always forgotten. Once people take that seat and that seat moves from our city, who comes back here and actually gives us who has the voice for us then? Like, granted, he may not do what everybody expects of him, or he may not do everything that we expect him we want him to do, but he does a lot for us. Like being right there, being accessible to us right here in the city, give us a voice in the house. And that's what we're looking for. So when he goes to Harrisburg and he speaks on behalf of the 159th district,
Correct.
we know that Chester is, okay, so I'm Brian Kirkland from the 159th district, office located in Chester, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that lets you know, so I'm here right now for Chester, Pennsylvania. I'm starting with that because that's part of my,
Area. What?
Your introduction?
yes, there
Okay,
it is.
yeah.
So, that's the concern of us, because we already have a city council and, a mayor who we feel as though don't do what we need here in the city. So we have to have something in council or something in
Right.
the government that says, okay, we're gonna start here.
Again, we always ask who speaks for us.
But see, but when you, and I tell you this,
Right.
I've been to Harrisburg. You go to Harrisburg and you from the 159th, that's the whole area.
Right.
They're not
Mhm.
looking at a specific city,
Right.
township, borough in particular.
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing when you were saying about the office moving,
Right.
no, it needs to be accessible for all people. That
Right.
It is
doesn't-
it is
But right,
accessible
but
for
so
all
it should,
people.
it shouldn't have to stop being that way.
Well, all right, if it leaves here, that's who will never talk to a state rep,
But how would
Right.
you,
a
but
Chester resident,
but
Right.
why?
because they won't go to Aston.
But yeah.
They won't go to Chai.
Well,
They won't
Aston's
go
not,
to-
Aston's not a
well,
part of it.
They won't go to Chai, they won't go to Linwood, they won't go where the seat goes, they'll just be like, okay, well.
We don't
I
have
guess
any
I'll do it.
representation.
Yeah, I'll do this myself.
Yeah, and that's sad that they would think that or
Right.
believe that is what would happen, because it's not 100%
So
true.
we
It's
asked
not
the question.
200% true.
We asked the question, how often does a senator come into the city and talk to the residents?
A set or a U.S. congressperson?
I know it's not a state rep, but this is why we hold
You-
on, this is why we hold on to that seat, because that, like I
You
said, that's
had a
all we
U.S.
have.
congressperson here in Chester a few times, the Avenue of the States. When I was at I know they had something at the,
Legend.
what's the soccer? No, I'm talking about recently.
Right.
She did not win the election, but the one who won, I don't think you saw Scanlon here, but Pearl Kim.
She was here.
Scandal was here.
She was here.
Scandal was here.
Was she?
Yes.
I think what, at the soccer field? No, what was that event that they had? At the soccer thing? It was outdoor, stars, she sang, had the moon bounce.
Oh, Chester Fest.
It
The
may have
Chester
been,
Fest.
because then I was there.
The Chester Fest. It's
Yes.
the Riverfront Ramble is what it originally is.
Oh, okay, I remember it as that one, but I'm just saying, but no, they do come. I'm in the city all the time.
Right.
Well, see, okay, Miss Gloria, you said she said other areas have
Have
concerns,
concerns,
not just Chester.
right.
Okay, and we are in agreement with that. So when other areas have concern, now they have to come to our city to address their concerns with the state representative, right? But if we had concerns living here in Chester and the seat was not here, we wouldn't come to Linwood and Chichester, Upper Chi, Marcus Hook, and all those
Would you
places.
come to the
the
same
inter-
office? If the office was there?
If the office was there, we would still come there because it still would
Okay.
be a Chester seat.
So the office, why does the office have to move?
If that office, I don't
I
understand
think
why
we're
he's housed
putting
there.
too much
Yeah.
emphasis
On
on
the
the
physical
on
building.
the building,
Yeah,
and
no,
not
it's
enough
not-
on
it's
the
about
fact
the
that
seat.
that we don't understand. It's not that we don't understand. We just can't see that because again, you know, whoever is in that state rep seat, be it Thaddeus Kirkland or
Right.
Brian Kirkland now, he's been visible.
Mhm,
Right.
This is something that we see.
mhm.
Now, when Scanlon was in the city,
Right.
everyone didn't know about that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When Pearl Kim was in
Right.
the city,
No.
everyone didn't know about.
Right.
Were you in the city for a week? Did you get a room at whatever hotel
Right.
and come through and campaign for a week? Did you
Right.
let us know that you will be accessible to us and to talk to if we elected you? Not you per se,
Right.
but Pearl Kim
But
or
whomever, yeah,
Scanlon.
yeah.
Again, so we can only grab at the things that we see.
Right.
We can't grab at imaginary strings. So
Right.
the people and the residents of Chester, this is how they feel. Like, we know this is the devil we know, and we're gonna put him in that position because we can touch him,
Yeah.
because we can see him, because he comes by and he's visual. So I'm not saying, I was never saying that you weren't qualified, right?
Never that.
At no time will I ever tell anyone they're not qualified
Oh, thank
because it's not up to me to say you're not qualified. And I believe anybody can do a job, especially in politics,
Right.
if you have a love for an area or a love for people, period.
Yes.
That's what politics is about.
Yes.
So you should be changing policies
Yes.
and improving lives for your
Absolutely.
constituents,
Yes.
period.
Yes.
I don't want it to be a geographical situation
Right.
where we're saying, all right, now bunk Lower Chichester, a bunk Booth Win, a bunk
Mhm.
this. I'm just speaking for me and
Right.
my city.
Right,
My city is under Act 47.
right.
And has been since 1995.
My school district is failing,
Yeah.
right? So when I hear people say, "What about my problems in Lower Chichester, Upper Chichester?" It's like, all right, you good. I feel like you're good.
Right.
You're living above where I'm living.
Right.
So obviously you have someone that cares
Right.
enough about your area to fix it.
Right.
Where I'm saying I don't have that here. I don't feel that love here. So if a seat is going up for re-election, then that
Right.
person has to understand my struggle.
So
That
do you
person,
think the district should just split? Because Chester feels they're not represented, if someone else outside of the district
That-
lives outside, right? So
that district, it'll never, that.
That's what I'm
that-
saying,
that
but
never
you hear
happened.
what y'all saying though?
That's why
Y'all
we
feel
can-
y'all don't have representation,
Right.
and then
That's
they feel
not-
they don't have representation.
They
But
have
see,
representation.
They do.
Yeah,
See,
but the one
here's the
thing-
thing.
All right,
Here's-
I want to interject on everyone. When I'm in Harrisburg, okay, a part of what I gave to you and I showed you the disparities between the school districts. As far as the curriculum in the Chester Upland School District, it needs to be an upgrade because even
Oh,
159th
see,
wise,
see,
they're sub below,
right,
and I'm saying to want to change that.
right.
I have
Okay.
grandchildren and so forth that are in the school district, but even if I didn't, if I were to look at something like this on the paper and you look at the majority of the demographics of the people, it's like, come on, our children are not dumb. They're
Right.
not stupid, so why are they being treated that way? So me as a person, a human being, and I'm a mother and grandmother, okay, that makes me sick. But when I'm up in Harrisburg, when you talk about no representation, when you're there and people were like, where are you from? They don't know where the 159th is. And if you want to say about a particular area or Chester and being represented, when it's referred to in the same sentence as a place like a toilet where money goes into, is flushed down the toilet and disappears, I don't see that as a type of representation. Or with me being a state rep, that's not good enough for me. I mean, it's like, come on, no, it's more than that. It has nothing to do with the people who live there. When you were talking about if you see something, to say something, the mentality of it needing to change, that
But
is
I
something
think-
it sickens me.
I think that Brian Kirkland came in with a bad rep because of his last name.
Right.
No matter what, the Kirkland name is tainted. So
Mhm.
I felt like when he won the election the first time, I'm like, they put another Kirkland in office? Like, really?
Right.
Come on, Chester. That's how I felt, right? But then he came in with a different mindset, a more fresh mind,
A more
a
fresh
fresher
approach.
mind
Right.
and approach to what we as in Chester needed. So when I saw him out in the streets, it was something that I was like, wow, okay, well, that's him right there. That's just
Would we,
Yeah, new
Could-
perspective is always good. I
So
remember
when
when
he's
Thaddeus
already-
first became state
can
rep.
we agree that a
And
better
he wasn't a
Chester,
bad person
Who?
when he
Which
first
one?
Thaddeus.
I remember when he won in
When he first,
'93.
when he first became state representative, he wasn't a bad person. What happened along the way, I have no idea. I never seen him. I didn't see when it took a turn for we're no longer making sure our school districts are fine. Cause I was young.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he didn't come in as a bad person. I went to school with his daughters. So I know him to be a father.
Mhm.
Then I knew him to be a pastor. And then to see him as a politician made him out to be a bad person. Because living here and expecting so much from council here in the city and seeing him not giving it, or so we thought. So then I had to look at it from a different approach. So starting 6 years ago, I started to see it like this. Okay, we asked for 5 things, they give us 2. So it's like, all right, I'm giving
Like
you
a give or
something.
take type of a thing.
Now you can't have the other 3 until next year. So you gotta work on it. But then next year we got 5 more new things that we need. So are you gonna give us 3 plus that 2?
right,
Mhm.
But I just need to see you doing the work. I need to
Right.
see you asking for these things. I need to know that. And had I been here that Friday, when you came and sat with us, would I have pushed for them to vote for you? I can't say that I would
Right,
because
yeah.
I still was concerned about the Chester residents.
Right, yeah.
And that means way more to me than me saying, well, she's a woman, her goals and her ambitions for our city can be upheld, even if her office is not here in Chester. I couldn't take that as a guarantee.
But yeah, but again, like I said, my son owns a business here. I'm in
Mhm.
Chester all the time. My daughter lives here. I
Okay.
have grandchildren that are here. I'm waving at the crossing guards, at the Highland Guard, and they all know me. I go to the stores, it doesn't matter. They just call me mom, be like, all right, they know that I'm fine, be it Curlin, Highland. No, I'm fine anywhere.
Okay.
You know, so that decade or so, you probably already know, and I was having fun with the Thanksgiving thing, so I don't even want to go back there.
Right.
But I lived in Toby Farms for 10 years,
Okay.
so there's a lot of people that I know from living there, from my real estate days, people that are still here that I sold homes to, a lot of teachers, but no, it doesn't have to be that way. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of
Come
people
on.
who care about the
Right.
city of Chester that you don't know or don't see.
so,
Right.
Well, was there a question or
No,
something
no,
about
no,
that?
no.
She
But
said, like I
even,
said, come outside the city.
come outside
in the city. Come inside
come
the
in.
city.
No, not you.
Oh.
No, I guess she's,
oh, okay.
so I say,
I love the waterfront. I remember it from before the thing was built, the
Yeah, before
soccer
the soccer
thing.
stadium was
Yes, and
So-
hanging out down there years
can
ago.
and would the 159th do better if it had a better Chester?
Absolutely.
Would it be seen better if Chester was better?
Yes.
So this is always the question.
Yes.
If Eddie Stone is fine, if Lower Chai is fine, if Marcus Hook is fine, and Trainer is fine, and everybody
You
outside,
may find as far as
as in
violence
compare,
or
as in
fine.
Yeah, perception
as-
is reality.
perception is reality, and
But
as
everyone
far
is
as I'm
not fine.
concerned, as
Just-
far as they're not under state control. Their school
Right.
district is not under state control,
Correct.
and
Correct.
their city is not under state control. They can do what
Bankruptcy.
they want. They
Bankruptcy,
can
correct.
do what they want.
Correct.
Right? Act 47,
Correct,
distressed
which is a
neighborhood.
bankruptcy for a city.
Right. So if Chester was out of bankruptcy and the school district was fine, then we could sit there and say that Chester would be okay, and then I guess more resources or more hands could be put on other areas. And I get it. It's not only about Chester, but at what point is it ever about Chester?
Exactly.
And
Has it ever been about Chester?
I can't speak for anyone else, but I'll tell you this, the same way how we were talking about being
Right.
contagious,
Right.
the same way how being positive is contagious.
Right.
What happens and the changes that happens in here will spread out throughout the other townships, boroughs, and so forth all around
If
it.
they want it, because
If who wants
because we
it?
just talked about it this morning. A
wants it?
smile is contagious.
Right, exactly.
I was coming out the parking lot. The lady stopped the car, let me go. I waved
She's
to her
like,
and smiled. She's like, "Hey, you feel me?"
Right.
Now she's happy. I'm happy riding
Right.
down the road.
Yes.
But there are other times where
Yes.
that person is beeping the horn like, "What you doing?" And then you start fussing right back. So
Right,
good energy, all energy
Yes.
is contagious.
correct,
Well, did you
Only
know,
if you're willing to accept it.
correct.
So is Lower Chichester willing to accept us when
No.
we're better?
No.
Is Eddie Stone willing to accept us when we're better?
No.
Are we?
Now- now-
Here's the thing. Hold on a
Go
second.
ahead.
Here's the thing. When we were a better Chester, they didn't accept us. They pushed us out. They shunned us. They wanted to
Back
put
in
a
the
wall.
early 90s.
They moved out.
Before Kirkland.
Today, too.
Before Kirkland, before Pelegi,
Right.
before all of them, they started to X us out, period. So when she says, what about us? No, the question is, what about us? See, we're the one city here in Delaware County that sits on the waterfront. The only city in Delaware County that sits on the waterfront, right? So we have all the resources that you need. Now you want us to come to you when we need things, but why you guys can't come here when y'all need things? If he's here to represent y'all. So if Brian is here to represent the other boroughs in the county, in the 159th district,
Right.
why can't those counties come here and ask for what they need? He's openly accessible to everybody. Why can't the seats stay here, and then you come in and you help him, help us? And that's that. So what Miss Gloria is saying is they have drugs and what she say?
Drugs and crime.
And crime and other issues in their city. But because we are looked at as a shooting city,
Right.
because we have violent murders and things like that going on in our city, we have to have that one mouth, that one voice that is close to somebody up there that's going to say, he can go to the senator or the congressman and say, listen, this is an issue that's going on here in our city, and this is where my office is located at. And not only is he a Chester native, but now his office is here. Like, he can go up there, he can speak for us and say, I witnessed this because I've been there every day. So it won't be, oh, so I heard this happen and they need help. He knows we need help because he's here. So, like, your daughter knows we need help because she's here, because of where she lives at. So you get to hear.
But yeah, but
what
no,
she has to say.
but I'm here. That, first of all, I think that us versus them type of mentality, that's going to be one of the first things that's going to have to go.
But
I was looking now,
That's
no,
never gonna be.
no, and that's fine, and that's always going to be. You can't please everyone all the time. We all know.
But in
this.
all that time, like when Thaddeus was running in the, if it was that much power outside and you didn't need Chester, then whoever would run up against either one of those people would
Right.
win.
Right.
And it
Well,
never happened
okay.
in 27 years.
Okay, and then you know that in
Yes.
Florida, they still don't know who the winner is, and if I tell
Yes.
everyone, if you wanna know if voter fraud is real, work
Right.
at the polls, okay?
And go
Well,
forward.
first of all, any of the people in the city of Chester that are elected officials, be it school or anything else, have you ever seen them campaign? Guess what, now I know why they don't, just putting it out there, and they know why that I'm saying that. This being said, everyone, when you do a job, you have to be biased for everyone, or attempt to do the best by everyone. I understand that not everyone can do that. And then honestly, you talk about before in the past, whomever would have come up against Thaddeus, if it was a white male Republican, more than likely, they knew the people of Chester would say no, and they lost.
It doesn't,
No, I'm talking about when we say perception is reality.
yeah.
I'm not saying what actually is,
Well, there was a time
but
when
the,
the
but the
Republicans-
perception, no, that
That
person,
person would have lost.
the candidate, that
And
person,
then-
But
correct.
he might, see, here's the thing, he wouldn't have lost, that person wouldn't have lost because everyone outside of Chester would have voted for that person.
Right.
See, that's what happens. So if no one ever took the time or took the initiative to step up against him,
Right.
they can't complain. Miss Gloria, you can't be the one
you
to
know what,
complain.
and this is
Because
true.
we only got
At certain-
30, we only have
We've had-
36,000 people here in our city.
How many
right?
times has that seat
And
gone up
only,
for
and
election?
only 13,000 of us will come out and vote as a whole.
Wow,
And that's
okay,
during,
Not
the
even.
mayoral election and things like that. The last mayoral election,
yeah,
3,000 people came out and
you
voted.
said three,
Three.
okay,
3,000.
They said
That's all.
about, no, they said it was more than that.
okay.
3,000
About
people came
4,000.
out.
4,000.
4,000. You gonna
4,500.
take it up 1,500?
I'm gonna take it up because they said it did.
So that's all that
Right.
came out. That's all that came out the vote, right?
4,500 people.
So just think, when the state rep Ron Kirkland ran the whole 159th district, you said how many houses in the 159th?
40,000 households.
40,000 households. You got 40,000 adults that could have came out and voted and said they didn't want another
More than
Kirkland.
that. More than that.
I'm just giving
Yeah,
one head of
yeah,
the household. So
exactly.
you got 40,000
Yeah.
adults. So you had the opportunity,
Yeah.
ma'am, to remove the seat from us.
Yeah,
So no,
me,
listen,
ma'am.
No,
No,
she's
Okay.
talking because
Or-
she's
Cause,
going to
yeah,
Florida.
talk to me, but no,
Right.
and I understand what you're saying, this is why, even with that, I know, that's why I chose not to do it, I
Right,
couldn't do it
right,
last
right,
time.
right.
That's you
Because
addressing the
You,
comments.
she's the pro, I'm
Right.
not. But even with that, all right, as far as having your best interest in heart, I can honestly tell you this. With the last bill that they voted on in October, before the election, a lot of things people don't hear about, I would have voted yes to get rid of it. The ones that, I'll just say, because we're clinging to hold on to, with as
What's
far
that?
as their vehicles,
What was
for
the
their
Okay,
cars.
okay, I got you. I got you.
Because we pay, and we have been
I
paid
know
for
exactly
the
what
longest
you're
time, 90% for their cars, their gas, their insurance, or up to $650 for a lease. Our voice voted no. He wants us to keep paying that. I bought my own car.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We're talking about.
I'm just saying about you
Yeah,
having a
in-house.
voice, and
Yeah,
that voice,
in-house,
I mean,
right.
and everything
You
is a
talk about the
matter
cars
of
and
public,
the,
public record. How they vote is public record. Do they show up to vote? It's public record.
Mhm.
Where their rating is overall in the House, it's public record.
Mhm.
Okay, that's just what I'm saying, and that was just one of the things that was voted on in
That's what I'm trying to
October.
get. So what was the name of the bill?
It was to get rid of it, get rid of constituents of people paying for legislators' vehicles.
Okay. Okay.
And,
So you're
and,
talking about like Kirkland's card?
or anyone who has one that we pay for, correct?
No, I know.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
just
yes,
trying to get
yes,
in mind. So
yes.
you're saying they shouldn't have they should have their own personal vehicles.
That was
and
the
not
law,
be
that was
driven.
the, bill that was up, that they were
Okay.
voting on.
Okay, so
I would've got rid of it.
is that a way? I probably would have too, because I believe
I
you,
would've got rid of
you can afford your own car if you got it.
You're getting a salary
Right,
for doing
right.
a job.
So
You heard
so
that?
and they use this car, these vehicles on
Yeah,
personal
yeah, I
time.
know about it.
Well, they're supposed to be for just campaign time and when you're doing something and working. But right, as of right now, there isn't a way to keep track of when it's business and when it isn't. But outside of that, this being said, with knowing the state of affairs in our nation, our country, I mean, you know, in our district, with people not working, you said we were talking about the single mom, people working 2 and 3 jobs.
Mhm.
Why would I want you to still keep paying for my car?
Right.
And every other legislator in the state of Pennsylvania.
So, do the other districts feel as though the state rep does not give them the things that they want?
Other districts, as
other
one-
townships that need-
within the
Other townships?
159?
Right, right.
Well, with me being able to speak right now, because I was in the 159th and then I was out of the 159th and then I'm back in the 159th again. In the 6 years' time, before, when I would call my state rep, before I was back in the 159th, there was someone at the office that answered the phone.
Now,
No.
no one.
I've
knows.
called and call back a week later and be like, okay, this is my second message. And this was like a year or so ago.
Okay.
There was an issue, something going on, you know, it may have been something with my son or
Right.
but no. And I couldn't get anyone.
Hmm.
Because I tell you,
Anyone-
initially, it took 3 years before I even knew that the lines had been drawn and pushed back. And I was like, what?
So what
And
did
I
they do?
consider me to be a person of,
Right.
how did this get by me? Really? How did I not know?
When did they do the redistricting?
When?
Yeah.
For this part,
Right.
6 years ago.
6 years.
6 years ago.
So every time I've gone or called to the 159th Street district office, I've gotten an answer. Was it from Brian or Thad himself? No. As Thad said, I spend 90% of my week in Harrisburg. The other 10% I spend here, and I close my office on Fridays to solely focus on the school. So he was always inside of the school, inside of the high school.
Mhm.
So after him breaking it down like that, I
Mhm.
kind of sort of understood. And I think that we all look at the Chester politicians as bad politicians, period. And this is as Chester residents.
Okay.
And this is
I
because
see
we
all
live here.
politicians as being
I
bad.
say all
Yeah,
of these
yeah, like
No
used car
matter what.
salesperson, realtor, I've been all of
You'll
those,
say
so.
you'll say whatever you think I want to hear.
Here,
to
right there.
get your
No,
vote,
right,
Then
and,
get in office and do absolutely nothing to help me. So
Except me.
Exactly.
I'm
and,
very
and,
fair.
then, did you ever look up how often they're actually needed in Harrisburg?
Right.
They're on recess now. I know ones in Key West right now.
Yeah.
Majority
They're
of
on
it
vacation.
maybe comes up to maybe 2 months or so of actual presence that's
Needed.
needed in Harrisburg.
So if you're only
for
there-
votes, 2, 3, I say about 3 months, because
So-
it might be a week here, a couple of days here, then it depends on the subcommittees that you're on.
Right.
Right now, I know that we have a budget that's due. Alright, let's hope and pray that this is the forefront of my mind. The budget is due by the end of June. This year that we're in is the first time that the, budget was actually done on time.
Well, you want to go get it?
Wow.
I'll
But
get
in
the phone.
general, they're only there for about, I guess if you take all the week, the couple of days here and there, it may add up to 3 months
Mhm.
total, that you're actually there in Harrisburg,
Call my mom.
so.
Oh, she can call your phone.
You want to call her?
You want to call in, Trill? here's the thing with us losing. That's true. Here's the thing with us losing so much and losing that seat and losing that voice. That's the only thing that gives us comfort and kindness. That's the only thing that gives us. But see, we didn't know that about you.
No, and that's fine.
We
And
just
I
saw somebody
understand.
running up against them. Do you know how
I
many people from
understand.
Chester actually came out to vote
I understand.
on that day?
I understand.
That was the crazy part, and that was us yelling, listen, we need this seat to stay here in our city, not knowing your daughter lives here in our city, your son lives
He
here.
has a
and owns
business here in the city.
Here in our city. See, but we didn't know all of that.
And I've been fighting for the sale of the water company and the
Grandkids,
prevention
all
thereof.
I don't know if you.
All of her
talked about-
grandkids
do you
are in
have-
the
Do you have your Fortune platform? Like, did you have it for Chester? Like, before-
Correct, I had it for, yes, for everyone, and then my
Well,
website, yes.
specifically Chester though.
Yes,
I-
because every place is different, just like no two people
Yeah, I got
are
you.
alike, exactly, no two places are alike.
And
Their
I'm-
needs and concerns are not alike. But the biggest and foremost is the education of our children.
Okay.
And ending that whole cycle of from school to prison.
Right.
That's
It
why when
has
I
to-
emailed
it
you, I
has
said
to
not
end.
until, I remember I said my brother and I, we were discussing like our kids, and we live in Chester, the violence, like I said, I live in the garden. It's not until she came and visited and saw and heard us saying how we're trying to get out because we wanted better. And she's like, well, why? Like, this is what you can afford. Y'all living here. It's good here. Why do you have to leave? Why do you have to go out for better? So then she came in and helped us. So we're in here. Our kids go to school in here. Her kids, like I said, and her grandkids.
Okay, so now
But
you
yes.
still have the opportunity to help us.
That-
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Like I was saying, my website is going to be vamped up more so for informative, for different things going on. Like, and I know this is something that can help revitalize the city and maybe get some of your police officers and all to actually live here in the city. Go ahead, what?
So Miss Gloria, you were born and raised, can I ask, are you a Chester High graduate? Right, so when she answers that question, then
She's
comes
born
back.
And you know what?
Born and raised, so
I know
as an
a lot of people
alumni
that
of anything, and there are a lot of people that live in Booth Wynn that leave.
Mhm.
You're an
Wallingford.
alumni, you went to Chester High,
Yeah.
would you not come back and give back to
No.
your school?
Right now, today, no.
Right,
She doesn't.
Like-
She doesn't.
right.
See, here's the thing. Once people leave Chester, they forget Chester. Period. Once they move out and move away, all they see on the news is bad, negative things. They never see the positive that's going on in the inside. So the importance of keeping that seat here is so that we're recognized for our positivity. If Pileggi wasn't a judge now and he still was in what was he, a congressman? Senator. But his office still was here in Chester.
Mhm.
So here's the thing. If all of those things were still going on, if he was still here, if we still had that,
Right.
we still had that senator's voice. Well, I am Dominic Pileggi,
Right.
and my office is located in Chester, Pennsylvania, on Avenue of the States. See what happens? Now they know, Chester, Pennsylvania. So listen, this is what's going on in Delaware County.
Right.
In Delaware County, they have this. In Chester City, they have this.
Coughing and sneezing.
Sorry, that was cough.
You want some water?
So, yes.
Ain't got none.
What?
I know you gave me some last time.
Ain't no- for
Want a
real,
minute?
no water.
It's a green tea in there.
No,
Go
it's not.
ahead.
They drink
You
it.
tell
It's
me
not.
what-
Nah, it is in there.
I'm telling you, it's not.
It is though, it's on the desk.
You want another one?
No, I didn't have it. I was eating these, sorry. So, here's the thing. You want us to think outside the box, right? Because you want us to include you, Ms. Gloria. You want us to include your borough or township or
Right,
wherever it is that you live, right? You want us to include you. Yeah, if we include you, then we overlook us. Like we get overlooked. And it's a shame because Chester gets overlooked for everything. I said one of the worst things Kirkland ever did while he was state representative, which is Thad Kirkland, one of the worst things he ever did while being state representative was that one of the worst things that he did while being state representative was he went and stood in front of another school district and threatened them to send us there if they didn't give us a portion of his money. So if you don't, and he cleared it up by saying that the head of somebody was part of their school district and he went there to address them and they came out and gave us a check. Well, I thought to me it looked like, well, if you don't give us money from your school year budget, we're going to send these black kids out here to be educated with you, whether you like it or not, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is when we first were going into receivership. So here we are now, 10, 15 years later, because, you know, 20-some years later.
Yeah.
So here we are,
Small
20-some years later,
Yeah.
when he first did that, that was in like his second or third year.
Second, correct.
Second year.
Yes.
So when he went there and did that, I said that was a slap in the face to us. That was saying that they don't want us there, and you really don't want to send us there, so you just gonna get the money from us instead of saying we deserve the same education no matter what.
Right.
So you took the money. That was, and I told him to his face, that was the worst thing you could have ever done to Chester.
I remember that.
And he was like, he wanted to know why. Because it was disrespectful to your community. It was saying, you don't want these ignorant black people in your neighborhood, so give us the money. Now pay us to stay out. And you accepted that check.
Right.
I wouldn't have accepted it, and I wouldn't have asked for it either. Especially when the monies was given, and she wants us to include, she wants inclusion. We've been wanting inclusion forever, but we don't get treated the same.
But yeah, I thought it was disgusting. Well, you had that and you can see it later that, you know what, when I had my granddaughter who lived with me for a year, kindergarten at Boothwyn Elementary School is equivalent, when I found out, because I have a 10-year-old grandson who goes to charter school in Chester, kindergarten is equivalent to second grade here. And me, in my brain, I'm like, why? When I keep coming up with too many things that are why, and too many things that's like, no, this doesn't make sense, why are you doing this? Even as a human being, human rights kind of a thing, as a person, as a black person, even for me, that's a slap in my face. I don't have to live here to feel that hit.
See, kindergarten.
It's like,
kindergarten being equivalent to second grade is not based off of our public school system's educational curriculum. It's based off of the fact that they allow charter to come into our district.
but, and I like that word that you use, allow. I was talking to a man, he said his name is Chester Reds. You guys know him?
Yes.
No? Okay. We were in Aldi together, right? And we were talking, and he thought that it was they were private schools. I said, no, they're not.
No.
But that's what they do in a lot of places. My husband, he's in education, he's an educator. Actually, if you were at the last job fair they had at City Hall, he was there, representing higher education, college.
Okay.
But that's a lot of times how it's portrayed in certain areas.
But it's
like
privately owned. That's why.
it's like it's a private education, but it's paid for with public funds.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
and
but-
that's the part that a lot of people don't get.
But see, the charter schools here now are
Mhm.
focused on behavior. That's the part that people are not paying attention to.
Mhm.
And they're the community charter east and west.
Mhm.
They have 45% of behavior
Mhm.
children that come from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
But State Representative Kirkland doesn't have a hand in that.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Kirkland doesn't have a hand in that. They were actually against the charters coming. The city allowed, the residents allowed charters to come. We gonna get on the bus. We getting on the bus to go to Harrisburg to fight to have these schools open in our district, not realizing it's destroying the district that is already halfway there. So when they allowed the community charter school, I think the East Campus was the first one to open. When they first allowed it to open, I was against it. Why? Because I felt like they did the math. They was taking $8,000 per child from our school district. And then they want to know why, number one, we're in receivership. And then number two, why our children aren't learning. I sent my kids to the charter schools for 1 year. In a year and one semester of the next school year. And my son came home with the same exact grades. Every marking
Mhm.
quarter. All A's and 1B. Now my son is very, very smart. My children are very smart, period. But they're educated at home and they're educated in the schools too.
Right.
However, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was able to be there for them and see what it is that they were learning and lacking. So when I questioned the charter school, they allowed me to transfer my kid without question. They didn't have an answer for me. Why is this report card the same exact way? Why does it have the same exact thing? So,
Because, yes, they were messing with their charter, so the grades have to.
Well, charter, what they do is they'll test you, right? They'll test you, and whatever that is, they're gonna get paid more money regardless if they won't put you on special ed or not.
yeah, but see, in charter started the IEP.
They get more.
They get more
They
money.
It's like
get more money.
40,000 per child for
Yeah,
IEP,
because-
correct.
They get the
Yeah.
Especially
IEP.
not listening child.
Well,
Pretty much.
they're quick And then IEP, granted, it could be for a speech impediment, it's not necessarily
but
just
once
a
it-
learning
anything.
disability, exactly.
once
But they're
IEP
quick to
If he stutters,
send
that's
you
what
to
they
the
gonna call it.
one that now you're on Social Security. Now where is that young black kid going to wind up? He's labeled this. You live here in the housing projects. Your mom was here.
Right.
That's all you know. Here's your SSI check. What does their future look like?
Yeah, and that's another thing.
But no, but I mean, this is what so these are the things that kind of like get me like, no, why, what, no, fix it. Like you said, we know what the issue, what they are. Let's concentrate on just fixing them.
And that's what
Well,
we have to have.
we can't let them go. We can't
No.
allow them to leave now
When-
because
what,
we
the
don't
school?
have buildings. We don't even have buildings to educate our children in because so many of the
I know.
schools was shut down here in
I know.
Chester.
Yes.
So
I
we
know.
can't just
I
tell
know.
them, we no longer want you guys here, y'all have to go.
I know.
Because
and
guess what
balances.
leaves? Their
I know.
buildings leave too because they're privately owned. They're not school district buildings. They are whatever that man's name is. They are his
Right.
buildings.
Mhm.
That is his land over there. That's his stuff.
Mhm.
So it's Chester Upland's education, but it's, I don't know who he is or where he's from. That's his buildings.
Yes.
And the
It's like
curriculum
this.
and the format and everything
The
that
curriculum
they.
to me,
Mhm.
we've had kids. All right, my child is in charter, right? My child,
Not that
he,
part.
no, he's at the school. They're at the School of the Arts. So they're at the arts program, which we started in Chester Upland, and they kind of sort of pushed us out. So here's my thing with our district. My children's curriculum is completely different from Chester Upland and the charter school.
Mhm.
And when I look at my kids, and they can go test take at any school, and would they be set back? No,
Mhm.
because they're actually being educated on the things that they need to be educated on. The charter school across the street, the kids which I say across the street because my kids go on Highland Avenue, and then there's one over on Bethel.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
around-
So I know she. Okay.
So Bethel children have
She's like rewinding.
the Bethel
There.
children have transferred to our school, and their grade level is like 2 grades back.
Yeah, that's what she was. Yes.
Right, and
Yeah.
see, and exactly, where now, since my daughter
My
had
kid
moved to a
there.
different place, now my granddaughter, now she's in a place where unless they put her 2 grades up ahead, she's gonna fall back.
No, because I'm not. letting
Because
that
she's
happen.
already learned all that in kindergarten. And then what is sad is the school, what is it, Stetzer?
Mhm.
That, the public
Right.
school,
Right,
Yeah,
now it's overcrowded.
right.
that's
And
overcrowded.
also, now this could just be me, but that the one on the corner of Highland, the new one,
Yeah,
I think there's too many age groups in that one building. You have, it's K through 11, correct?
K through 12.
K through 12. And I know even if they say, okay, they can separate it, this level, that, I know other schools like that. Me personally as a parent, I know that I would not want my daughter in 1st grade attending a school with a 10th or 11th grader, or even
They
an
never
8th,
see 'em.
or even an 8th grade. Are there separate entrances?
The high schoolers go up to the 3rd floor. Middle school go up to the 2nd floor. High school go in down there. Middle school elementary school go in here. So no, everybody.
Is there a door that from
Door
the
over
1
there?
grade that they can ever get down to the lower grade?
You can get through the whole school, but
See, but I'm just saying, me as a parent, that would be a concern for me. And like I said,
That
even
was-
7th or 8th grade,
that
hormones
was really
change and
Right.
things like that.
Right.
I'm like,
Now,
no,
the
I don't
middle-
even
the
want
middle
you by
school-
my 2nd grader.
the middle school. But see, they're nowhere near each other, so they don't
Right.
see each other in the hall
Mm,
and things like that. From what I see, and
Right.
I have elementary,
right,
middle, and high.
okay.
So, they don't see each other. And if I say to my high schooler, go get your 2nd grader, go get the 2nd grader, they can't go.
Okay,
You're not allowed. No,
Right.
this is your section. When you go to lunch, you go down this stairwell, which is not through any hallway,
Mhm.
and you go to the cafeteria. So the dynamics of the school is set up where they're separated from one another,
okay.
which I like. But here's my thing.
Mhm.
I would rather have them all in one building and know
Right.
they're being educated than have them in separate buildings and know they're not being educated.
And I mean, and this is true, and isn't that the bottom line of what we all want for our children, or at least that's what that's what I want. That's where I'm coming from.
That's
as
what
far as
everybody
all
should
children.
being educated.
And I do not have to live in a place to have compassion, empathy, or care about what happens to
Right,
someone
right.
else.
But it's hard, right? Because it's hard to have empathy for outside, because when we needed empathy, where was that for us? When the crack
Oh, you mean from
epidemic-
you?
right?
But no, and we
when the
talked
crack,
about that.
when the drugs hit this area, white flight was real. They ran. They
But-
ran the Booth Wynn, they ran the Upper Child, they ran the Eddie Stone, they ran. Now it's like the pill epidemic is out there and not
Now
really
we-
affecting
now
us
we
too
help.
bad. Now it's something you need to
Everybody
pray and
help.
care about and nurture through. And it's like, well, don't you think we deserve that same compassion and empathy that you're asking for now? But no, we're
It's the same
guinea-
thing that happened
we
with the
have
crack attack
we have always been the guinea
in
pigs.
the 80s.
We have always been
Yeah.
the guinea pigs, and
Right.
we will continue to be the guinea pigs as long as no one speaks up for us and speaks for us. So where we are right now, like I said, it wasn't
Yeah.
personal because I
No.
did not know Ruth Moulton
Nothing
personally.
should.
Right.
Me, business and personal,
Right.
they're separate.
And when we go back and forth and we fight with each other, it's like, okay, so fix my problem.
No.
Right, help me fix my problem. Like again, I asked Gloria if she was born and raised in Chester. That would make her a Chester High
Right.
alumni.
She
Right.
never answered.
Never answered. So then
Yeah.
then it says that at some point, as an alumni, you should come back to the city and help
Donate.
rebuild that school because you went
Donate
there.
your time.
You know what I'm
As,
saying? Like,
as a lot of people are. When
Right.
I worked at real estate in
Right.
Riker. People who moved to Wallingford and so forth.
Right.
No, they grew up
they
in
grew
Chester.
up in Chester, man.
See, the town people, they start talking about stores on the
Right.
corner,
I-
on Flower
But
Street,
they never
and
come back.
I worked all the way in Barry,
Once they
Delaware.
leave, they forget.
And the guy was like, "Oh man, I went to school in Chester. I graduated Chester." I said, "Really? Do you ever go back and get back?
No.
Do you ever did you have good memories there?
No.
Or is it just
Yeah.
that your people are no longer inhabitants of that area?
Yeah.
So there's no reason for you to give back, and now you have a new area that you give back to. You
And-
didn't graduate from Chichester, but you give back to
And do you know
Chichester.
what would be curious?
What?
And I know that, I mean, the number's going to be low for
She said she did go
everything.
to Chester High.
For everything. People who be it actors, writers, singers, whomever, that once they do make it big, yes, a lot of go back, LeBron, whatever, do a school, things of that nature, but how many people do? I mean, I'm just saying in general,
Right.
as far as human and human nature, not as an excuse for anything,
Right.
but people being people.
Right.
How many of them do? Me,
Well, I mean, because they are considered to be the celebrities. If they don't go back, they don't go back. But I feel like if you
Okay.
just live down the street, like,
okay.
you didn't move across the world. You
Right.
moved down the street to Chichester Township. You moved down the street to Linwood. You
Right.
didn't go across
Yeah.
the United
The
States
world,
to
yeah.
California, so I can't keep flying back.
Right.
So you're right across the street if you live in Training. So it's a street that divides us. You're at the next highway exit if you live in Chi in Marcus Hook. So tell me, why don't you come here? Because if it's not an offensive statement, but if more of those faces are seen, then we're seen to be doing the right thing. We're on the right path.
Right.
Or we're seen to be
Needing help or being
Needing-
gentrified.
yes.
Right. Or it's
So-
an opportunity for you to come in, buy cheap property,
Yeah.
fix it
Yeah.
up, and,
So
and,
now-
and,
so now
and
you're
find.
there
and
to
listen.
make
Why
money.
people move into areas that are impoverished? Number one, the school district, the taxes are low,
Loud,
right? So I
loud,
get
loud.
I get to buy this property. I ain't got to pay high taxes,
600
and I'm gonna keep my house out there so my kids can continue to
Yes.
go to school. But I'm gonna fix this house up over here and wait for this area to improve. What I want is for us, as the 159th, to have a conversation.
Yeah, I would
These
love
are the
that.
things that you
Yes,
can
I would love
that you
that.
can do.
I
If
love
the other
Yes.
counties or townships in the district come together, they can hold a town hall meeting with their representative. You can do this, just like we do it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So now that we are now becoming more involved in our community, we understand I have to hold this man accountable for the cup of coffee that he poured for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Period, point blank. I'm not gonna say, he had a bad day. No,
Right.
no, brother, this coffee doesn't have enough sugar in it.
Right.
I need more sugar in it. And I'm sure if it's cold and she's in line behind me, I use this analogy all the time.
Yeah.
Her coffee gonna be cold too.
Right.
So if you
Make
feel
it
like
hot.
you're being disenfranchised, then understand that we are being the same. No one in particular. I'm
No,
just saying.
I'm looking at I heard one in my pocket.
Right. If you feel like you're not getting what you want, then at some point we probably feel the same way.
Everyone does.
So let's get together and try to fix this up, because the only way he's hit him, and the only way he is going to know what we want is by telling him what we want, and the only way he's going to know the other districts want what they want is by telling. So we all sit down and say,
So
listen,
you calling out for a meet for like
a town hall
get
meeting.
together?
And see, and that's
Okay,
what
where?
again, I grew up in Philly,
That's
but
the
that's
first
what
thing
I'm
I'm
used
gonna say.
to.
Where?
Where we can have it wherever.
No, but your representative and
Huh?
basically they
I
do
don't
the
know.
job.
We can have it wherever.
And
Like, I would love
you know,
to
you
do
can
it.
go there, knock on their door.
You gotta
If
do it
they
when
did,
they're
they
not
did.
served.
If they're not, but we held them accountable to the jobs in which you know, they help.
Yeah, I got
The
you.
same way I do any place, the car
Oh,
dealership or any, I'm sorry.
Ms. Ruth is well aware of my involvement in my community and other communities. You're not involved in my community.
I don't know you.
That's the thing.
But
See,
again,
my community
We are,
right
we're
now.
all in it together.
Right,
Period. And
absolutely.
until we
We all
realize
supposed to
that,
be
no,
in
we
it.
are. We are, because, let me tell you, until, I know, and it's gonna come knocking at your door, my door, everyone's door at some point in time. And like I said, to you, like when we talked about when I was here the last time, that even if on the outside of families, people, so forth, say in Upper Chi, if it doesn't appear that they have issues going on, they do. It's 2 and 3 households living there, because their kids just lost, you know, the house. They all moved into the one. I thought, did I look like I wanted to raise and have, take care of a kindergarten
Right.
I kind of see what I'm
child? No, but you do what you have to do
I see what
when
you're
you have
talking
to
about
do
now.
it.
I see what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but see-
You have to be in the city
To
before you want to
understand
get, before you want to get
and
paid
be
to
a
be a leader. Before you want to get paid to be a leader, you have to be in the city and try to do something. You cannot just come here.
But you, but but you should know the people. You should
Well,
know
yeah,
the
and that's when you have to get to
demographics.
know them, and you have to do something before you even be a leader, right? Before you get paid to be a leader,
When
right?
do something as far as what, work, have a job,
Yeah,
which
come
part?
to your city, come to the city, and volunteer
I'm
things.
listening to him. So here's the thing, right? It's like this. If I came to Chai
Mhm.
today and said I was gonna run, and I'm gonna run for y'all mayor out there, and I'm not from there, they would deny me. They would tell me I know nothing about their district. I know nothing about their area. I don't even know the neighbors. I would know 1 in 16,000 people out there. Now here,
I don't know the American.
Mm.
I don't. Honestly, I don't.
it
And then even with that, but it's a two-way street, because you know what? Maybe to a certain degree, a lot of things that I've done, when I say it's bigger than me, it always has been bigger than me or the immediate what you can do in front of you. And it gets to a point in time where you can only do but so much in your own community, where you have to go like higher or to a place or out of entities in order to get out of the word out, get the money, the funding, and things of that nature, and bring it down for everyone, if that makes sense.
See, and that's another thing we don't do, your response is how you feel. You have to be able to take how people feel about things, right? You feel differently about something. It doesn't make me ignorant because I don't feel the same way you feel. So when we throw words, Miss Gloria, out there, we have to understand the impact that it has on other people. A word to you, when you say ignorance, you might not mean it that she's ignorant or she just a lack of knowledge. So there's a different phrase you can use when talking to people. We do the back and forth all day. And like I said, if you feel as though the current state rep isn't doing his job, then then there are some ways that we might feel like the current state rep isn't doing his job. So as the 159th, again, when we understand the power we have in politics,
Yes.
not one party to the other.
Yes.
If you keep on transferring
As a
one
people.
power from one party to the other, then the people never receive the power. The party receives the power. The Republicans receive the power. The Democrats receive the power. And the power is really in the people. So as long as we stay divided, then they continue to bullshit and play games. So I call it politics because it's all a politics. I'll sit here and play with you all day under the table and tell you I love you, and then go to the other side and do the same thing with nothing ever happening or moving for you. I don't want that to continue. So with this radio station, we hold everybody accountable, even ourselves.
Yeah.
So when we talk and when we give out energy, earlier when I said the devil, you know, it had nothing to do with white devils. You know, and you said, devil. No, it was the devil, you know. So if I do not understand or truly
Dynamics.
I don't understand the dynamics of the situation, then I tend to use words that I'm comfortable with.
Right.
And the word that I'm comfortable with, just like you just used in ignorance, was the devil that I know. Like he's in the room, but I know this guy.
Right.
Even though you say he's wrong, it's the guy that I know. So when Miss Moulton was running, I did not know her. And I'm glad that she came up here and she talked about it, because getting to know her, she's a very lovely lady.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And she has compassion in her heart for the 159th. I then have to learn to accept the fact that she has passion in her heart for the whole district and not just Chester. You feel me? And know that when she does, or if she does, acquire that seat, that she will have a passion, that she will be fighting for the things that I see as well as the things that you see.
Right.
If you feel as though Brian Kirkland is not doing that, you can hold him accountable.
Yes.
Period.
Chester has
For,
office.
for all of us to grow as a whole. I have a question.
Amir said, this isn't bigger than us, ma'am. This is about us. Pro us doesn't mean anti anyone else.
Right.
I respect what she's saying
Mhm.
because that is the truth. See, we have to speak for us because no one else has done it for so long.
And I wasn't
so now that
negating
we're
that.
yeah.
Right.
So now this is
Yeah.
in response to her as well
Okay.
because it's another person that's defending her as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
She doesn't realize some of the things that she's saying is like attacking other people in the comments.
Okay.
So here's the thing: we are a Chester resident
Mhm.
who want to make a change in Chester, and the change starts with us.
Yeah.
So we couldn't allow that seat to leave us
Okay.
and think that someone else was going to help us because it's a fresh face or something of the
Right.
sort. So Brian Kirkland helps us to an extent, but we help ourselves.
Mhm.
So we stopped using the politicians, period.
Right.
So we no longer go and ask the mayor, we no longer
Right.
ask city council. If it's not about a permit or L&I or anything of the sort, I don't even think half of Chester residents go over that way.
Mhm.
When we go to the Ave, we stop at Wells Fargo, and then we turn right to leave out. You don't even go straight anymore because honestly, nothing down there with a bill on the other side.
Okay, yeah.
So
After
it's
Wells
nothing down
Fargo,
there for us.
yeah.
Wells Fargo,
Right.
or you go left before you get there.
Mhm.
So we kind of sort of like put the wall up between us and
Right.
everybody else. So it is
Okay.
us against them.
Right.
It's Chester versus everybody. We always
Right.
said that.
Mhm.
That's always been the motto because you moved out, Miss Gloria. You said it was because your mom and them they moved, and we understand that. Parents move out all the time, but my parents came back.
Mhm.
My parents come back, they give back. I see my father in the
Right.
community. I see myself in the community. I see P in the community.
Mhm.
I've never seen Miss Gloria,
Mhm.
and it's not because it's not like I would recognize her and say, "Oh, that's Miss Gloria."
Right.
Right.
However, yesterday we just had Thanksgiving dinner at the Boys and Girls Club. It was a lot of Caucasian women there,
Mhm.
and they were there eating, socializing, conversing, doing all kinds of
Right.
things with our community, and we see them all the time.
Right.
So they're here all the time. So I've never seen you before
Okay.
that Friday on
Right.
on the show. Never.
Right.
So that was my first time ever. I'm like, so that's the lady that's running. Like, where was she at all this time?
Yeah.
That was my thing. So even though you may have made appearances, it wasn't an appearance where me myself
Right.
could see you, or my neighbor knew you were coming, or anyone in the senior citizen center in the Bennett Homes knew you were coming. So
Okay.
the people that needed to be addressed
Right.
didn't have a clue as to who you
Right.
were. So it was just, okay, someone else is running against Brian. All right, well, guess what? She's not from
But we
here.
usually just ride for Kirkland anyway,
Yeah.
so.
But right,
Whatever
and just
it
like the
is.
ones that like at Christmas, like some that I saw at the senior place on Edgemont Avenue.
Right.
Mhm.
And then they didn't remember, but it was like, oh yeah, well, you were here singing Christmas carols with the other group that went around to Fair Acres, and the other singing at the holidays. Grief Share that is held at one in Linwood, but it's also one on Jeffrey Street.
I
Or
do come to your community
Grief-
volunteer.
grief.
That's the crazy part. Like,
Grief Share at New Jerusalem Church, or their
Yeah.
outreach service, or movie night, or the League Center. Those are other places where, yes, and you know what? I totally understand. I'm all right.
So this is
I just
the-
want to get rid of that. I want to know what's going to get rid of that us against them, and a question. Would it be
Empathy.
better if the
No,
which is
that's-
fine. That's
Empathy.
there. So for me,
My house been falling apart for 50 years. Yours is just now falling apart.
and it's never going to be
Right.
that. It's never
So-
going to
so
get rid
come-
of that.
so
us
come-
against
so
them.
come help me
no,
fix mine
and
so I
that's with a lot
know.
of people, because even people, if they look at me and my present today, until I said, you know what, I've lived out here since I was 17 years old.
Right.
So I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Nobody gave it to you. You had to work for it, things of that nature. No one would ever know. Would it be better if the person was an independent, or, I mean, is that something? When you talk about party, because
See-
party came up.
Well, see, I didn't vote for the party.
Okay, that's fine. Because my whole slogan was choose the person, not the party.
Yeah,
Can they
she's
do
red-
the
she's
job?
red through and through.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
me. I'm
She's
a
red.
But no,
through and
I'm like, you know what? But choose the. Can the person do the job?
individual, yeah.
Can they do
You
the
gotta
job?
hold-
I
you
just want you
gotta-
to do the job.
You gotta hold the individual
Right,
accountable
exactly.
for what they say.
Mhm.
And if I asked you for 5 things and you gave
Right.
me 2 of them, then I know that you're working. I know
Right.
you're not just sitting still. So
Right.
my thing is, she wants to know if we come to her community. I'm in Chai all the time. I'm in media all the time. I go in different communities and
Yeah.
perform different acts because it's not only us that needs help. We just need more help than others. And when people say, well, why do you do what you do? I do it because it's in me to do it.
Right.
And I'm not looking for recognition from you. So I don't have to
Exactly.
put my stats up for you to see.
Exactly.
So here's my thing. But I just want people to say, oh, that's the girl that was standing over there with the blue shirt on.
Right.
Because they saw me. I didn't see you.
Okay.
So that's what made me like
Right. That's
standoffish.
Right.
Because I didn't see you. So I couldn't say, well, listen, y'all, this is what she has to offer. I
Right.
didn't know it.
Right.
I just know that Brian Kirkman had a phone.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So, like I told your daughter, I said, yes.
Good. I mean, what is it?
I told your daughter, I said, tell her don't give up the fight because
But now-
if she stops now, then we end up with, if she considers that we have nothing, then we end up with nothing again.
Right.
Mhm.
So here's the thing. Now we're at the start of
The next campaign.
the new campaign.
Correct.
Right.
So in 2 years, if you're up to it, you do it again. And this time, now we know who you are.
Correct.
Now we know what you stand for. Now we know she doesn't live in Chester, but she cares about Chester just as if she does live here because her children and her family lives here. So and then we.
feel like
You're here. People are here.
I feel like that's
It's like people are here.
That's
But
a
you take
whole-
care of your family. You take care of your family on a whole nother level. No, it's not.
No, that's fine.
Right.
You know, I saw it now. That's why I just left it alone.
That's a whole vetting process for the next 2 years of
Correct.
you understanding exactly what
Correct.
your district needs.
Correct.
And if that's your goal to serve your district, then the next 2 years is you in the community moving out for your district.
Correct.
And now people will know who you are.
Correct.
When something goes on with the school district, you're there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though you're not getting paid for it, I'm voting for you now.
Right.
She out here, she ain't getting paid for that. She ain't making no.
And
I know when she gets the check for it, it's back pay for the work that she did for the last 2 years of not getting paid. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I get that and I respect that.
Yeah.
So if that's what you plan on doing, then
Yeah.
and I know that
Yeah.
is what you
Yeah.
plan on doing, because if you ran, unless you were doing it
No.
for selfish
Right.
reasons and purposes, then now that you don't have the seat, he's tripping. Yeah, he ain't reading no comment. And now that you don't have that seat, now you can move at 100 miles an hour.
And well, you know what, this is true. I could slow it down to 200. Then it was, I forgot my name. But it's a lot, like I and you, like what you were saying, it's not what you do. I mean, it's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
It's not something you do. When you're in media, you're here, you're there. You're doing it because there's a need there. And you just do it. Not for a photo op or to have your name in lights or anything other than that. So it's something that could be helpful for the city, Chester. Talk about revitalize, even for your, I mentioned that earlier,
Yeah.
the police,
I hate-
firemen,
I hate talking
EMT.
politics.
No, for them to
No, 'cause
live.
they always-
Oh, to live where-
No,
They cut our lives off every time.
Who did?
every time we talk politics, it's somebody reports it.
Oh, on Facebook?
All the time. Every time we on Facebook Live, we
You
still
go on
live on the
Facebook?
radio.
We're still live on the radio.
Oh, okay, got you, but
Yeah,
they can get
but they on
50%
YouTube,
off of their
but you
home
can't-
for living in their homes for 3 years.
But we
Okay.
still
That was a
live on
program
YouTube.
that was in play during my decade or so when I lived in Toby Farms and selling real estate.
Okay.
A lot of teachers in the Chester Upland School District, the music teachers, I sold them their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, 50% is forgiven after 3 years of being in your home.
Okay.
And it's for places that are working on revitalizing and building up the neighborhood and also getting those that work and serve the community to live there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that, I thought it was dead, but I looked it up and no, it's still alive, well and kicking.
Yeah, but they don't want to live there either.
But,
they,
but again, but it's,
they would,
so it would
the
be,
police officers, the firefighters, 65% of the firefighters do reside here in Chester.
mhm,
Those that don't, their family, the 25% of them that don't reside in Chester, their family lives here. And they just moved out, like, I moved to Delaware because
Okay.
I'm on the verge of retiring or something like that.
right,
So they live here in Chester. The police officers, not so much. I think it's only like 22% live here, actually live in the city. 35% act like they live in the city, the rest of them don't live in the city. So the ones that act like they live in the city, they all have the same address. If you
right,
ever
yeah,
see them, they
I
act like
noticed
they live in the
that
city.
address, but a lot of the teachers took advantage of it.
The
at that
teacher,
time. And
the
Chester
teachers
Township
that's here
people
now,
homes and-
the teachers that's here now, in the actual district, not in the charters,
Okay,
the ones that live here, it's only 35%.
okay.
All right, we out of politics. No more politics.
Yeah,
Every
okay,
time-
what about
every time
Chester
we-
Charter, the choir?
Every time we,
Sophomore, you
every,
have to hear them, have you
The
heard
Chester-
them?
what, yeah, Chester Children's Choir, my daughter's in it too.
I was in that.
I loved,
Right.
That's,
Right.
That's coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in that. I was in
You're
that
in the
like.
choir?
My,
Is she gonna be singing as
Yeah,
well?
your daughter did.
my daughter is in it.
I love that, I look forward to that every year.
So everybody that knows the station, you like this? Like I'm holding the microphone.
No.
Okay.
I did
Okay.
never like that.
Oops,
See,
all right.
see, nope.
Okay, hold it here,
Well,
see, everybody
I
stay,
gotta go.
everybody stay in your lane, right?
I gotta go.
See,
That's what yes God do.
where you
He
going?
only like that.
Huh?
Where you going?
Home.
Wow, what's wrong?
I'm cooking.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
cooking. She has crates of greens on the floor
How
and,
do you know?
you
Somebody-
said
said
it,
that. You said-
when we were in here talking.
Somebody-
So that's off now?
No, it's not
No,
all.
no,
But
y'all
we-
still live.
No, oh, okay.
I mean, but y'all can roll out. Me and I was gonna sit here and talk. You feel
Yeah.
me?
Come on, Doc King. Come
See?
take me home.
Yeah, Miss. Are you not gonna you gonna take your jacket?
I am gonna take my time.
No, don't take your donut.
What? Don't do that.
Nah, if I got
Get
you,
in here.
nah, if I got you a shirt and you just leaving me.
Right.
I like your
So
shirt.
it's gonna be our day
I
to
like
day.
your
Right.
shirt.
She gotta cook. She
No,
don't have
I like
another.
your shirt this one.
Thank you. Oh, this is done by the art monster,
Yeah,
Kenneth Picasso Hunt. You can go over town and check him out at the Abstract Reality Art
I like this
Gallery.
artwork.
Yeah, he's definitely working. It's art monster. We have several different pieces of artwork. This painting right
Yeah,
here.
he's about to go away, isn't he?
Yep. A couple different art battles. He just got invited to the one in Switzerland.
And yes,
Yeah.
I heard about
So he's
that.
working.
I wanna buy a picture from him, so
Hey,
he
go
said
ahead.
he said buy it now.
Yeah, buy it now
So when he
before.
blow up, he
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't come knocking on my door then, which
Yeah.
I.
Gotta get over it.
I like to support local,
Businesses.
businesses, period.
All right,
So
go over there. You
that's
ever
how
been over to the
it's
art gallery?
drive.
Oh, alright.
Oh, I know where it is.
Right. Yeah. Get over there, buy one. He's going to sell right now to get the money up to
Right.
to get to Miami
I'll
and
get
things
it
like
for
that. Right.
She wants a, you want a
There you go.
portrait for, of the family,
There you
right?
go. But Nas, what's up, man? Doc King, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm blessed to be here, man.
So we wanna real quick.
It's your time. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. We going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
If you wanna leave,
No,
Take care.
thank
or
you.
you can sit in and talk to the young man.
Okay.
You're not sure.
It's up
All
to
right.
you.
Don't matter.
So we're not talking politics though.
No, that's fine.
Kids
All
talk
right.
No, I'm
So what
glad.
we
That's
have,
good.
here is two young men that are graduates of Chester High, still, and they're in college. Dakeem is in Alcorn, down in Mississippi, and young Nas is in Rust College,
You should-
Rust
Rust? Where's that?
in Mississippi,
Holly Springs, Mississippi.
College Springs. So they're
Both
both
Mississippi.
they're both down in Mississippi, which is major. 19 hours away. They're home for Thanksgiving. These are the two young men I was telling you about.
Right.
Congratulations.
Dakeem is he wants to be a lawyer,
That's it.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Young Nas he's majored in mass communication, so he wants to be like
TV host and radio.
TV and a radio personality. So
He has a good personality.
Yes, he does.
already. He does.
Yeah,
That suits
absolutely.
you.
I don't want to be, I am. You have to start speaking into existence.
right.
Exactly. No, like you did. The lawyer's in the house. I
Right.
I
Right.
as
As
you
you
came
walk- as
in.
you walk in.
I just
Exactly.
came from court like before I got here.
Right,
So.
yeah. You send people to jail.
No,
See,
I'm not trying to be no prosecutor.
you got to start off
I keep
sometimes
telling
as a
people I don't wanna be a
prosecutor,
prosecutor. I know they say that, but
Yeah.
I'm
You gotta
very
know both-
biased with it.
but you have to know both sides.
Of course.
See, when you get tired of sending people to jail,
I'm interning with the DA
How you doing, Janelle?
right?
next semester, so I'm not.
Captain Yoon?
No, I'm in Mississippi. I interned
Oh,
with the last.
okay.
That's when I tried to get Nasir to intern with him, but the time phrase, I think, man, Nasir like 8 hours away.
Right.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So I was like, so I interned with the DA last year, and I actually had a whole office. Like I think I told you on
Yeah.
Facebook. So I enjoyed that. But Nasir's doing very well with what he does. So,
Right. You don't got to worry
I ain't
about
messing
him.
with
Yeah, you ain't got to worry about Nas. He
Yeah, I don't have to.
understand.
That's why I don't got to worry about him.
But not only are we at two different schools, we are both building the bridge between both of our schools,
Yeah.
doing
Okay.
stuff, even getting people out to vote. That was our whole thing too. That was a
FC.
big time.
We both was on like getting people. I think he met with FC. I met with. I didn't meet with FC, but I met with his chief of staff to get FC in. He's a Democratic candidate. Or
Right.
he was. We try to get them to vote, so that's where, and then we both were from Chester, so that was even like crazier. Like,
That was big. That was big.
Did you know each other before then?
yeah, we knew each other. The thing about that was it was Pierre and Nifate. Before that, they were trying to get us to meet for a very long time.
Right.
I was working. I worked as a not as an advisor, but someone to represent the Philadelphia Union. I've been doing that for like
Okay.
10 years.
Right.
So I've been traveling with them to like promote them, and because I was a young kid, they were like, and I like to speak, and I'm a profession in speaking, public speaking, so they just used me for like 10 years straight. And I've been doing that, and then I bridged out and started getting into politics a lot more, and law, politics, wherever you wanted it. And then Nas was already, like, Nas was
Sounds like
getting
my
into
daughter.
politics at the same time, and they were just like trying to connect us, so, and we both ended up somehow
Bumping into each other
bumping into each other.
and creating something
Yeah,
special.
we have
because
an organization together,
Right.
so.
Which is,
mm.
I'm gonna figure I look like a bobblehead, cause you know
Right.
I like to look at
We
people
doing
when
really
they-
well
when
with it
they
too.
look
We're doing
sick.
really well with it too.
Chester's Mentor Incorporated is a program to better our communities.
Yeah.
We're young men trying to build up younger men.
Right.
That's trying to make a change within their community personally. The age is like 15 to 19. The goal is once we get out of college, of course, to really get it up and running.
Right.
Right now it's just the idea, and we're running with it.
We-
We're young and limitless, and there's nothing that we cannot do. Statistics tell us that we can't even, hold leadership positions at a young age. I feel as though we can do anything that we put our minds to,
You got it.
and we're gonna do it.
I believe that too.
Yeah. And like I said, well, it was something that I came to mind with, but I knew that Nas was gonna be in the middle of it. I knew that Nas was gonna, and somehow, some way, Nas ended up going above and beyond. He got us a location. He even, like, one day I just came in and it was like 17 children there. And the way that Nas was like working with them, I was like, we're gonna do this for a long time.
And I have to add, and then you can, go forth. It's bigger than sports.
Yes.
In Chester, it's very big in sports. You can be a lawyer, you can be anything, and then it don't even have to be politics. You can be a doctor, you can be a brain surgeon. I had a young man tell me that he wanted to be a brain surgeon, and he's only about 10 years old. And I'm like, this is what you want to do, you can do it.
Yes.
You can do it. Nobody can, deter you from doing it.
Yeah, I love these two.
Yeah.
Because
I love you more.
and I tell them when I was their age, that wasn't on my mind. Because those weren't the images that we were given. So at some point you realize that we started to change a long time ago. The images that we were portraying to our children really were changing. So it's not as bad as it was to me. I grew up around lawyers and doctors and all that stuff, and I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I wanted to do the stuff that was out that everybody was outside doing, because the doctor had a Benz, but the joker on the corner had a Benz too. You feel me?
Yeah.
And he had more fun when he rode past in his Benz than the doctor did. So to me, I didn't realize that you will sacrifice your whole life to have 15 seconds of joy. You can work, enjoy your whole life, and not sacrifice anything. So I want these young men to be examples to the other young men that are growing up in the city. Like, I want them to see them happy, and smiling and having fun while going to college, and having fun while having a positive impact on their community, because then other children will want to do those things.
Right.
I don't want another generation of drug dealers and shooters and men that just, we got the 70s exploitation of everything, the pimp, the drug dealer, the hooker, the prostitute, the shooter, and we tried to live up to those things. And our community suffered because of it. So now these young men, they're away in college, and they're positive role models for children and other young men growing up. I watch Nas, when I walk around with Nas, from children to adults appreciate his energy. Dakeem the same way. You know what I mean? Me and Dakeem don't walk around too much,
Right.
but if we did, I know that he would get the same respect from
Yes.
adults. And they look at me like, look at him. And, oh, hey Nas, how you doing? They all energy. I said, look, bro, you contagious, man. He's like, nah, I want to thank you, because when we first met, Nas, he said, how can I help out at the radio station? I thought Nas was older than what he was.
Mhm.
So the first thing we had a mixer, and I was like, all right, Nas, come on up. I said, you drink? He said, man, I can't drink. I'm 17. I said,
Okay.
oh. It
Yeah.
just changed the whole conversation.
Well, not even just because of the age limit wise. I feel as though me as a person, I don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
No.
Because like a lot of the teenagers, they think that like, you know, I have to drink to fit in. I have to do this because I could have easily lied to you and said, look, man, I'm this age.
I'm 24,
No, I
right,
don't drink.
right.
Like, no, man.
When I'm
like,
21, I
you
don't
have to be
drink, so-
honest, though,
Right.
but you know, just growing up and, you know, just seeing everybody doing the same stuff, I just want to be different all around the board. And it's just not about just saying that you're different.
Yeah.
You have to do actions to show it.
Yeah. It's all about being yourself. That's all it is. All about being yourself.
So we came to a conclusion last night, just in building the radio station, that we have to use all of our resources.
Mhm.
So Nas will be starting a show while he's in Russ College.
Mhm.
He's now on the Facebook page, and he'll be doing college life. I want to offer the same thing to Bakeem, you know what I mean? If we could work something out where he does 1 hour, Nas does another hour, it's a 2-hour
Right.
show showing different campuses,
Yeah.
but
We're
college
taking,
life
we're
from the
taking,
HBCU
we're taking revolutionary minds to
to college.
not just a regular college, an HBCU college.
Mhm.
Right.
We're asking people, you know, like, what draws you to an HBCU?
Mhm.
What does an HBCU? A lot of people don't know that HBCUs are
Underfunded.
right.
Mhm.
And predominantly white school colleges, they're pretty much high qualified and
Right.
all that great stuff.
Right.
But we can do the same thing.
Yes.
We can get these people to come to our schools and be like, hey, I want to do this funny one. I want to put something in, you know, your school probably have a chapel, right? Where you go pray. They can go fund your chapel. Then that funds the kids,
Right.
well,
Right.
quote, the adults at school, students, everybody, and so forth. But this is an outlet for us to tell our story, our journey of why we come from all the way from the north, where they say, you know, that we can't go down to the south to get an education. It's still races down there. Right? It's races all through the world.
Right.
But guess what? We can go down there and we can make a great impact. So I mean, I'm running with this whole. Everybody calling me the mayor. Oh man.
Both of y'all together,
They
like, I
always say
mean,
that. They gonna call me. They gonna be the president. I don't know why, where they get that from. Like Mr. President, I'm like, I ain't the
That's
president.
that's really good though. That's
He's
really good. I
humble,
really appreciate it though.
It's honored. It's
But
honored.
at the end of the day, we're taking this platform and we're running with it. CMP, this is what we're all really about. You know, we're a family at the end of the day. It's time to, you know, build and stop looking through the past. Everybody
Right.
keep bringing up racism, but how can we break this
How can we move past it?
generational curse?
Right.
So,
you break it by wanting more.
right.
You know, wanting more and believing in each other. I can only make it in battle with good soldiers.
Mhm.
I can't do this battle on my own. And
Right.
we have to believe that it really is a fight. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you have to want to get an education. You have to fight for your education. You have to want to fight to understand how politics work,
Mhm.
how finances work.
Mhm.
It's a fight because these are not things that they are willingly giving to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to fight for education. So with him and Dakeem, hopefully Dakeem agrees to do the same thing. And it's the Revolutionary Minds College Edition. It'll take place on Saturdays. They'll get an hour, Dakeem will get an hour, Nas will get an hour, and they'll interview kids at their college and talk about college life. So, you know,
There's also one more thing to add. When people say kids, we're adults. We have to get out of that mindset because we're not children anymore.
right.
So it's like we have to hold that
Right.
leadership role now. You know what I'm saying? We have to get out that, oh, I'm a boy stage. You're a man now.
Right.
So it's time to take on the world.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I thought like one. Now I'm not. I'm a
Right.
man, and
Now, don't get me
So,
wrong, like,
no.
I'm still
But
learning
the
every day
mindset.
how to be a man at the same day.
Of course.
Right.
Because a lot of men say they're men, but at the end of the day, you're still building yourself up to be that man.
but even as a person,
I
I mean,
ain't
as
becoming a
people,
man
I mean, you
till
learn
I'm
something
25.
new every day, and you can from anyone and everyone.
That's why I learn
So,
from you, man. I learn from you, man.
But this is your community.
yes,
These are the children that we feel like we have to protect.
yes.
This is why we're so defensive about that seat.
But
You
then,
feel
yeah,
me? But again, coming to the
yeah, because
community.
wait, 8, how old are you?
19.
19, so you're 9 years older than my oldest grandchild.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
So, no, I understand.
Okay.
Again, growing up in the city of Philadelphia does not mean from another world, another
Right.
state, or another. Even with you going to school down south,
Right.
it doesn't mean that you can't relate to what's going on there and here at the
Right.
same time.
Right. Some things are new, some things are different. Oh, just politics and policies. That's it. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. And people
And
trying
business.
to acquire either knowledge or attain monetary gain. You know, like that's what life is. But we have to see that it's possible. So
Yeah.
with them doing that is awesome. Nas also the missing plug. You know, he finally getting his award, Crystal. Shout out to Nas. You know, he wasn't here for that, but I definitely kept it on ice for him. So I'm proud of these two young men. So I don't see anything like, even for my son, you know, to be behind them and to watch them and to see how they move. Like starting this station, I started it as something to give back for the community. The community can use this station for whatever it sees fit to use it for, as long as it's positive,
Right.
as long as it's good energy. So
Right.
we will have, I want the senator up here, I want the congressman up here to talk to his constituents so we understand that we do have power and those people do care about it. But I also want the community to want to come up here and talk about the things that they want and the things that they need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we speak, you can't get mad at us. You can't say, oh, well, I've given you, no, you haven't given me enough water.
Right.
I gave you water yesterday. I
Right.
need water every day.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to applaud you on giving me water one day out of the week when I need it every day. You know what I mean? So this station and every other entity outside of it that has been birthed through this station is awesome. You know what I mean? So I welcome you up here anytime you want to. If you want to come up here and teach and teach politics so people understand how that works.
A little bit of any chapter on like real estate, or
Anything.
I do own a business, I'm a
Right.
videographer,
Right.
things that it
Right.
could be about anything.
And this year, I have a show on Wednesdays that maybe I could sit you down with the co-host of that, and y'all could try to work something out there. Karen Knight, she has, and she's trying to do it by herself, but the energy is she's just by herself, so it's just like
Okay.
she just talk. It's hard to do a
Right.
show by yourself for 2 hours.
Yeah, a monologue.
You know what I
Let me
mean?
just talk to myself
Right,
for
right.
2
You're just
hours
talking
and
into
yes.
the camera, so
Yeah.
you know we could try to work something out there.
Okay.
I'm sure she wouldn't have a problem with it, and y'all can.
And anything
create
that's
something great.
positive, I
Right.
don't have
It's
a problem
definitely
with.
positive. You know, she
It's
reads
like-
poetry. She's with jazz. It's not somebody
Right.
younger. It's like, I don't want to say it's like, I'm about to say it. Don't get mad at me. It's like the grandmom show, right? right. But she calls it your wellness police. So maybe I could talk to her and we can see what we can work out there, or you could just come up to be a guest and she can interview you. However that works. But I definitely
I'd like to
want.
be a part of the
Right.
conversation.
Yeah, I definitely
you know.
want you to be a part of the station, and I want you to help us, help you, or
Yeah.
help us help ourselves.
Yeah.
There we go. So, Dakeem, anything you want to talk about, good brother? Or you good?
I'm all good, man.
You
I'm
sure?
gonna have positivity. I'm straight.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Nah.
I got a lot to say.
I know you got a lot to say. I'm gonna go ahead and turn
for
my mic
one,
off.
Dakeem, you can relate to this. College students deal with depression. Depression is a very big thing. I have been a victim of depression, I guess, because I miss home so much. That is
It
the
is
truth,
true.
bro. That is the truth.
It hit me my first
I
year.
miss home so much, but more than importantly, you know, you can always come back. Always come back to the root where you started. Going to an HBCU for me, man, at Russ College, it really opened up my eyes up a lot. Being, up here in North and Pennsylvania, it's like, it's a big culture shock. Like, you have to get used to it. You have to adapt. Sometimes it's just like, why am I here type thing, but you know why you're here, because your purpose. And my purpose is, to show other people that, no matter where you go, you can always adapt and make change. You don't have to limit yourself to, just not doing it. Because some people feel so comfortable where they at, but get out your comfort zone. It wasn't comfortable for me to go down south, man. The big blind bugs and all that stuff. I'm like, wow. Jeez, but I'm glad to be back home, though. Glad to be back home.
So I got home, I got so many calls to be here, be there, be there. And that's just me, and I don't think Nas can relate to this, because you were a public figure, because people look at you as the next politician. And regardless of what, if Nas wanted to be a politician, they
Right.
look at him as one. Regardless, they look at me as a politician.
Right.
They always call him the next mayor, the next president. You know, and
Right.
I will say this, and it's the truth. Like people will label you, and don't let that be your fate or that attachment to your name.
Right.
I'm gonna be Nas at the end of the day. I'm gonna be Nasir J. Leach at the end of the day, and it's like you can't never let nobody speak certain stuff on your name that you don't want.
Which is good, and it's good that you guys are having this conversation with those in your age demographic, and for everyone to hear. So, I mean, I was told that my life was over when I had my daughter. I had her when I was 16. That my life was over. I done ruined it. Go move into a house over there. That's it. Cancel Christmas forever. But I never believed that. I never saw that for myself. But you don't have to. All right.
Yes,
So I'm
ma'am.
gonna leave you guys
We
to it.
appreciate
It was so very nice talking to you.
Yes, I don't wanna get the Oscar music start playing.
Right.
All right, be like, okay, let me say my last goodbyes to everyone. Thank
All
you,
right, take care.
thank you,
Nice meeting you.
thank you. Enjoy the Thanksgiving. As a
Absolutely.
parent, I could not wait until it's time for them to go back.
Everybody to go back and get out of here. So, fellas, how we feeling?
Good. Happy
Talking-
Monday to everybody that's watching.
So, Naki, would you be up to that? Revolutionary Mind?
I would. I
You
would. I actually. So, Health Partners paid me $1,000. They gave me $1,000 to record my HBCU life.
Right.
Health Partners plans, and I ended up backing that down. Why? Because you're not. First of all, they're trying to get, and I love Health Partners, and I hope it's not gonna mess up my endorsement because they endorsed me for the next one. But I don't. Some things that you have to watch what they do, and I think I got on Nasir about this because when we started this organization, Nasir had all these businesses calling him, and I'm like, sometimes you have to watch out for that because you got to see what they want from you,
Right.
not what you want from them, because it's
Exactly.
always a back shot to it.
Right.
And the thing about Health Partners is that they were going to sell my videos.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm not that deep into my legal fees about that, so I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But your situation is that you're doing it for the community.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? You don't have nothing that's coming out of this, but
Right.
showing how great community is. So
Absolutely.
I'm 100% sure with that.
Yeah.
That's why it's
I appreciate it.
yeah, I'll definitely do it. Whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Nas got my number. You have my number.
Yeah, we're gonna work
Nas
it
got
out.
my
I'm
number.
gonna make you an admin on the page, and you share it. Like you take pictures and you share on the page, and I'm understanding that this is not just my station. And if I wanted to grow, and I want people to understand the positivity that we all share, and I want good energy to flow through the city, then everyone has to be a part of it. So.
Once y'all gave me the passcode to the door,
Right, you knew what it was.
it was over.
You knew what it was.
I just knew it. Like,
Right.
You're like, how did you get in here? I was like,
Right, yeah, you already
I forgot y'all gave it to me.
I forgot. Pay attention.
I know my heart now.
Let's go, man. We're gonna keep on building, man. We're gonna keep on doing good things, man. So let people know, man. Revolutionary Minds College Edition, HBCU. We want to know what the kids are dealing with and how they feel and how college life is impacting them. And you're a junior this year, or?
I'm a sophomore. I'm
Sophomore.
making.
Right. So you're doing your damn thing, man. I'm proud of you. Nas, anything else you want to say, good brother, before you get to doing your rounds?
It feels good to be back home, man. I can't express it enough, but as y'all know, I was my freshman class king.
Right.
That was really good. I was in grades, smiling and stuff, tired in the cold and all that great stuff.
Right.
But I mean, despite all that, man, like I miss home so much. I can't express it, man. Home is Chester. Home is family. Home is unity. Like in everyday life, it's just unity. And being down south, it's like you're not with people like you,
Right. But you are.
but you are at
Right.
a
Yes,
certain
you are.
degree.
Right.
And it's just like wow. And then everybody don't understand your background and where you come from. Like everybody looking at me like that. Like you don't come from Memphis. You don't come from Chicago. They major cities that they shoot.
They know about.
And like
Right.
they make us look like we nobody because like they don't hear of Chester.
No, they don't hear about you.
So it's like we just a regular city. And then the way how I carry myself, people say, oh, he act like he stuck up. He
Yup.
like he come from a rich
So-
black family.
So all
I'm
20
like, man, I'm from a low income family.
Right.
Listen, everybody.
Struggling.
He's
I'm
speaking the
struggling.
truth.
Right.
They think that.
And then even the way how you
Northerners-
dress is like,
Yeah.
it's different. I mean, personally, I prefer a tie. I
Right.
prefer to tuck my shirt in. Everybody had their pants sagging down.
Right.
So that's not me. I came down there knowing myself first,
Right.
more than anything. So I'm not gonna why change when you go to college.
That's true. That's so
Why
true.
change?
They down south. They think that we, first of all, the way we dress, because we dress a little bit more
Right.
popular than them.
Right.
They think that we're bougie. We come from a like a private school,
Right,
and
right,
they
right.
thought all 24 of us, the ones that
Right.
went up, they thought we all came from private school, that we all had money.
Right.
Speak proper.
Because we
talk
speak
white.
proper. Yes, that's what they say. They say we talk white.
Right.
I mean, like, and I was so surprised. I'm like, talk white? I only talk proper. I'll come to church.
Come to Chester for a couple
They tell me I'm
right.
ghetto as it gets. And,
Yes.
And to be honest, it's the dudes that be saying this.
Yeah.
The females, they love us
They
because we're
love
different.
accent.
Right.
We're
right.
different.
Oh, yeah,
So
they definitely-
now it's like
yeah.
now it's like you learning.
Something about that.
You learning
that
that.
northern swag
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Mississippi. And Southern hospitality ain't nothing like. So, you know, the ladies down there that are from that area, you feel me, they'll definitely take to you. Plus, you're something new. That's everywhere. Because if a Southerner come up here, it's the same thing in the city. You feel me? It's something new, something they don't see every day.
Right.
Something they don't feel. Like you walking around in a tie and a shirt, your shirt tucked in, and it's like, oh, feel that. You know
This
what I'm
perfect
saying?
guy.
And
Right.
he come up here with his gold teeth and his dreads, you feel me? They're like, oh, do that. So it's something new will always attract you.
Right.
We
You feel
don't
me?
wear
So-
cowboy boots. We
Right.
don't wear shorts and cowboy boots, so they think they were different. You knew it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So.
It's nothing wrong with that. I adore it. Like, I think that's kind of dope that they actually go out there and ride horses.
Right. I ain't getting no
Cause I ain't getting on the horse.
I
You
ain't
can hang
getting no
that up.
horse neither. I'm good.
I got on the horse one time though down there.
Unless it's the Walking Dead, it's an apocalyptic situation, and I gotta ride a horse because ain't no gas. Then I ride a horse, but I'm
Yeah.
not getting on the horse. I'm good.
That's good.
So CMP, this is the morning meeting. You know, college edition, man, and the fellas they home for Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna let them do their rounds today, and I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna grab my sonny off from school.
If y'all love us, give us a plate.
Right.
Oh,
So-
also another thing, man. My birthday is tomorrow, man. I'm accepting Cash App. I'm accepting
This next crazy.
everything. You know.
Yeah, I ain't got no cash out.
You know. If you love me,
You
give me something.
cash app out.
A hot plate.
Pierre around
All
the
ladies.
tickets and shit.
Y'all know.
Fuckers wanna come home and shit. And stay in as Mississippi. CMPRADIO.net, this is the morning meeting, college edition, man. We gonna get out of here, man. Again, yeah, Young Nas' birthday is tomorrow, so it's Cash App tomorrow, like, I mean, and you already know, man, he in the building, so check him out, man. Cash App, Nasir J. Leach.
19013.
Right. Is it-
19013, man. That's something special, man.
Right,
Dear to
19013, let's go, man.
Chester City.
Dakeem, you can Cash App Dakeem.
Cash him up too. It's not his birthday, but cash him too.
Right.
No, my birthday is like coming up though, so I don't know.
Right. Don't be blowing my birthday money.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you already know, Nifate don't let me get Cash App. So. And probably you ain't allowed to do that. That ain't fair. Right. You can Cash App me too.
Oh,
See if
then
you-
another thing. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm
What?
sorry. It's to everybody that's on Facebook, man. If you see me out in public, it's okay to speak. Like, you know, you got me as a friend on Facebook. Just speak.
No, it's hard. That's
no,
hard.
no
That's hard.
calls, nothing.
That's hard, bro. That's hard. You speak first. Let them know. Let them know that you're open for business.
I'm always open.
CMPRADIO.net. We out of here, man.
All right.
I was told to come to the city hall at 5 o'clock today.